5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live here from the Valley with the artist formerly known as the Amazing Atheist.
Hello.
Imagine if I just started talking like that with no explanation. I just kept it going for years. Everybody like, one day he's going to drop it.
I kind of dropped it a little.
The Amazing Atheist, right?
Yeah. I mean, I still use it. I oscillate. I'm kind of trying to transition to just using my real name.
Well, the last time you were here, you talked about that, and that was, I think, 2 years ago. So this is slow.
It was a year and 3 months ago.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
It was January of 2016.
Why do I feel like it was so... My memory.
I don't know.
You know what? You know that Dunbar's number thing where you can only fit so many people in your brain?
Yeah.
And there's definitely that going on in my head, and then too much data. My hard drive is fucked. You know how if you get an old laptop and it keeps telling you have to delete some files because you're running out of space, and that's my brain.
Yeah. I mean, my brain is even worse because literally things I knew yesterday, I don't know today anymore.
Yeah.
Like, my memory is dog shit.
And you were just saying you haven't smoked pot in days.
Yep. Not in days.
Interesting.
Days and days.
Days and days and days. I fucked up and had an edible last night. I did this, there's a show that my friend Jeremiah Watkins has, and it's like a make-em-up show. They calls it Stand Up on the Spot, where the audience will yell out, fried broccoli, like whatever, and you just have to rant on broccoli, like what your thoughts are. Try to get some comedy out of it, and occasionally, maybe 1 out of 10 subjects, it will actually yield a real bit that'll become a bit in your act. It's really kind of amazing when you put under pressure like that. So I said, what a good time to test the deep end of the pool and find out what these speed weed edibles are all about. Whew. I fucked up.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
My brother had a panic attack on edibles just like a few days ago. My friend brought over some like pot brownies, and he had one. He's not really used to edibles. Anyway, I go to bed. I'm laying down and watching like Star Trek Deep Space Nine or some shit. I get a knock on the door like, TJ, hey man, can you come out here for a minute? I'm like, oh, okay. What the hell's this? I go out there, he's like, I'm really not feeling good, man. I think I'm having a heart attack, dude. I'm like, dude, you're probably just having a panic attack from too much weed. Okay, has this ever happened to you? Has this ever happened to you? I'm like, yeah, it's happened to me before. Just calm down. You know, your heart's racing. You feel disoriented and shit. And I thought I was calming him down. I spent like 30 minutes talking him down, but and he seemed like he was like, okay, yeah, I'm cool now. And then just all of a sudden, like, no, I feel terrible. We got to go to the hospital. I got to go to the hospital, dude. I got to go to the fucking hospital. And I drove him over there, and I sat down in that fucking hospital waiting room, and there was like this fucking ad for Stanley Steamer, and there was this terrible jingle, and I'm like, it's like the worst jingle I've ever heard. It's not going to get stuck in my head. And now to this day, call 1-800-STEAMER, Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner. I'll be in bed at night, and that shit will be in my head just over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, they have wizards that come up with those things, man. Even the ones that suck, they just get in there, you know?
Oh, yeah, it's a terrible one. And then he gets out. They gave him some fucking Ativan.
You know what you can give him next time? Just give him some coffee. Coffee's like one of the best things.
Really?
Yeah. There's something about caffeine, apparently, that counteracts the effects of marijuana. When you're really high, they say just drink some coffee.
I'll have to do that next time.
Yeah.
If that happens.
Isn't that true? That is true, right?
That and a hot shower, I think, because...
That's right.
Everyone's got their own fucking home remedy for this shit, I guess.
But here's the thing. Like, once you've done it a few times, you realize, well, what the panic attack is essentially your brain taking an audit of all the things that are real and are real worries that you haven't been considering at all. And then they fly. Well, you're going to die someday. Are you prepared? Like, what if it's tomorrow? Are you ready? Have you had a good life? What if someone close to you dies? You think you're going to be able to recover? Like, you just start thinking like really crazy shit, and it just makes you aware of those things. And then once it wears off, you reach that sort of neutral point again.
Well, he's a hypochondriac to begin with. So.
Oh, that's not good. You can't give guys like that weed. You should
Yeah.
know better.
Well, he's fine if he smokes it, but if he eats it,
It's a different thing.
it's different shit.
It's a totally different thing. So, your podcast
Yeah.
was the big podcast that kind of sunk Milo. It was kind of a combination
it was
of
a
mine
combination
and
of
yours.
and mine. And I remember it was yours. It was me watching him on your show that led us to ask about that. Because I saw him on your show, and he was like God at the time. Because I remember at the time he was on our show, I told Paul, one of my co-hosts, like, Paul, this guy ain't no lightweight, and he's got a huge army of sycophants right now. If you get in a debate with him, if you lose, you're a total bitch. If you tie, you lose. If you win by a little, you lose. The only way you can actually beat him with his army of sycophants at this time is if you just demolish him. So don't even try.
You were concerned about this? Like this is like something you planned out in advance?
No, I mean, it wasn't really a plan. I just wanted to bring it up because I saw him on your show saying it. I'm like, that's very strange.
I kind of knew where he was coming from.
Sure.
Because I knew that he had had experiences, like sexual experiences when he was younger.
Yeah.
And he was kind of, I think he was trying to trivialize them and turn them into humor.
Yeah, I mean, his way of dealing with it or whatever, say like, it was mutual between me and the priest. I was molested by a priest, but I was into it, so it was cool.
Well, he's like, I was the predator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he seduced the priest, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to imagine a 13-year-old boy, no matter how flamboyantly gay or sexually aggressive, jumping the priest's bones or something. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it sort of gives you a better understanding of how this guy came to be who he is today and why he so relishes this role of being the contrarian and being this this sort of very difficult to pigeonhole gay man who's very conservative but yet believes in man-boy love.
Look, this is if you go back and you read old articles that he wrote for publications that he worked for in the past, there was a lot of stuff like, we're going to take on bullying on Twitter, and we need to make a safe space for people online. This is Milo, and now he's like the biggest troll.
Right.
I mean, we talked about Milo last time I was on your show, and you told me, you kind of put the seed in my brain like, he's kind of like fake. And the more I've looked into it, the more I have to question whether or not that shit with the priest even happened to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't really trust the shit that comes out of his mouth in terms of like face value.
Right.
And I think a lot of times when Milo tries to make a point, he doesn't necessarily make it by directly saying it. He tries to make it through like performance art. Like when he went on Bill Maher, and he's doing this whole flamboyant gay conservative thing because he wants the liberal Bill Maher audience to be like, boo, boo, because it's like, look, what hypocrites. They say they accept gays, but the second you don't toe their line, what they obviously like is people who toe their line, not gay people.
Right.
I think that was the point he was trying to make. I thought it was funny, too, how Bill Maher the next day after Milo's scandal broke was like, I took him down. It was me.
Was he saying that?
Yeah, it was like, I took him down. It's like, dude, you said he was the next Hitchens when he was on your show.
Wait a minute. He really said he took him down?
He said, I took him down.
No.
I took him down.
Oh, he's a fool. That's such a foolish thing to think. What I think is what Milo does, a lot of it is performance art.
Yeah.
It's a lot of trolling, and it's a lot of very calculated stuff designed to sort of rile people up and get people active and get people to talk about him. I mean, that's the reason why he does this tour on colleges. I mean, why not do it in the Lion's Den if you want to get the roars? I mean, he's doing it like where he feels like this problem is the greatest.
Oh, he wants to stir that pot, too, because he knows if he just does it in some club downtown, there's not going to be any protest. No one's going to give a shit.
They'll still protest, I'm
Maybe.
sure, but not like bringing it to their campus.
It won't be like what happened at Berkeley.
Yes. Yeah, what happened at Berkeley was just fucking insane. What's really insane is that, was it the mayor of San Francisco that was applauding the protests? Like, hey, fuckface, there was $100,000 worth of property damage. People were throwing chairs through Starbucks windows and lighting cop cars on fire. Like, this ain't good.
There's been articles on, like, the Huffington. I almost made a video about this article on the Huffington Post actually that was basically like, violence is as valid a reaction to Trump as anything. It's like, wow, you're literally just advocating for violence, and you think you're so enlightened.
Yeah, it's completely foolish. It's like it goes, once things aren't going their way, it goes against everything they've stood for before. What about kindness? What about compassion? What about treating people with love? What about facts?
Well, that's
and
okay when they're in
information?
power.
Exactly.
That's okay when they're in power.
Yeah.
But when someone else is in power that they don't like, it all kind of goes out the window.
It kind of goes both ways, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it definitely does.
I mean, remember when Obama was in office and there was people that were calling him a Muslim and they were talking about taking him out?
I remember I heard rednecks. I was living in Louisiana at the time he was elected, and I heard rednecks say shit like, man, I can't wait for someone to assassinate this piece of shit. You know, there's like, they were looking forward to it. Like,
Yeah.
Not only did they think it was inevitable he'd be assassinated, but it was like, yeah, that's going to be a good thing. That's going to be a good day for America when Obama's finally killed.
And when they say things like that and you corner him, you go, okay, well, what's so bad about him? What drives you so nuts?
He's a Kenyan, he's a Muslim, and he's a socialist.
Oh, socialist.
Socialist, Muslim, Kenyan, communist, secret Muslim.
I
Whatever.
would love it if someone pulled off socialism somewhere. Like there was like one country you can go, well, look, those guys are happy.
I mean,
look at those folks.
If you look at socialism as like a gradient, then there's plenty of countries that have like more or less.
More socialist than
I don't
we
think
are.
pure socialism is a good idea any more than like pure capitalism. Like, oh, we just need laissez-faire, like the libertarian idea. Like, yeah, the markets will take care of everything. How many libertarians does it take to screw in a light bulb? None. The free market will take care of it.
Yeah, well, those people get a little goofy. And you know the most frustrating to me is the anarchists, the ones who want no taxes, no cops, nobody fixes the roads.
Or worse, private police.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, it's like private police. Like, how does that work? You mean everyone, if you have money, you just hire out your own justice? I mean...
Hire out thugs.
Does that really seem like they would be objective and in pursuit of, like, justice? It seems like they would just be your armed thugs that are going to mete out whatever form of justice you think is appropriate.
Yeah, well, for sure. If they're working for you, that'd be an issue. If you're the big boss and the big boss wants these laws enforced, and then the big boss passes his own laws on his property, makes things different. It's like, it gets real weird when you're dealing with 350 million people. That's really a part of the problem. It's what the style of civilization that works well for one person is not what's preferred by another person. And all those things combined with the whole antiquated voting system, the whole ridiculous electoral college system, we're never going to achieve some sort of peace of mind.
Super delegates in the Democratic Party.
Those are the most ridiculous. Wait a minute. Hold on. You're a super delegate, so you can. How does that work? You can decide not to vote for the way the entire state voted.
Yes, that's right.
Unbelievable. And we're leaving it up to them to make sure that Trump doesn't get in.
It's a stopgap, because the people in power have always been afraid of the actual will of the people. So anything they can do, they want to safeguard. Like, well, if the people choose poorly, we want to be able to stop that from happening.
Yeah, we have to, those uninformed fools, we can't leave them up to their own decisions.
In all fairness, I've been around America, and there are a lot of uninformed fools.
There's a few.
Quite a few.
What do you think? You think it's like half of us are uninformed fools?
I wouldn't even want to throw out a number. But there's just a lot of people that are stupid. I mean, it's hard to know because, you really almost don't know what someone really thinks until you sit down with them one by one or, one-on-one and have a conversation. And even then...
Well, you don't keep a real job, right? When was the last time you had a real job, a job?
I worked at IHOP for 2 days. About 10 years ago.
That's it?
More than 10 years ago.
And what have you been doing for the most part since then?
YouTube.
Yeah, see, if you can make a living doing something else in this day and age, you're removed from the grid. And if you're removed from the employer-employee grid, you get to see things in a different way. You go, well, this is all temporary, and everyone's working towards some future that really never comes. This is like the life that you're experiencing right now is life.
Yeah. And
most people are spending that time doing shit they don't want to do, and it fills up all their time. So then when it comes to government, and it comes to like who's leading the country, which direction's the country going into, how much time do people actually spend paying attention to it and actually spend really considering it?
I mean, I've been at people's houses where I'll try to bring up
Politics?
news or politics or something like that,
They get sick.
and people are just like, "We don't talk about that in this household."
Ooh.
It's like, what?
Really?
You don't want to? I mean, like even like not even necessarily politics, but just news. Like, yeah, did you hear about this thing that happened? I don't like news. It depresses me.
Oh, is this a woman? This sounds like a woman's voice.
Yeah.
You had your southern
That was a
voice,
woman.
and this is the
That was a woman voice.
not in my house woman.
Not in my house.
Yeah.
We don't put up with that shit around here.
We have ways that we allow you to communicate inside these borders.
By the way, I did lose my IHOP job by dumping pancakes on somebody.
You did?
Yeah.
Who was it?
This fat fuck. You know what? But I went into the job and I was like, all right, look, I'm not good with people. Don't put me anywhere near front of house. I'm gonna be in the kitchen. I'm gonna do. I was living in Alabama at the time. I was like 18. I had a 32-year-old girlfriend.
Oh shit!
So I was like, you know,
you were mature.
yeah, and she's like, you know, I was lazing around the house every day while she went and worked, and eventually she's like, you need to get a job. And I'm like, all
It's
right,
reasonable.
I guess.
Hey, you were banging a 32-year-old. You should have been psyched.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was at first, but then when she said get a job, I was like, eh. But I did. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to make this work. So I went to IHOP, and they're like, yeah, you just work the back. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll work the back. I'll do dishes. I'll just turn my brain off and wash dishes.
Right.
And, you know, I'll learn to do the grill or whatever the fuck else. Second day I was there, they're like, we're short-staffed. We're going to need you to just take care of a few tables. I'm like, it's not a good idea. I'm not
they
good with the public. I'm not
Train
good with
you
people.
how to do it when they say
No.
they're short staffed? They
No.
just sent you out there?
They're just like, yeah. I mean, they told me like, yeah, you just, you know,
Write down their orders.
Yeah, just go out, write out. You know, we know you're not going to be great at it, whatever, but go do it because
Right.
we're short staffed. We need you. Everyone else in the kitchen is more vital than you are because they've all been here a long time.
Oh.
So I went out and I waited on like 3 or 4 tables, and there was this one fat fuck who. Maybe like, I mean, it had been a while. This place was not well run. The fact that they sent me out to fucking wait tables is evidence of that. So it was like 15 minutes and he hadn't got his fucking pancakes and breakfast and shit. And he's like, where are my pancakes? I'm like, oh, I'll go check. You better.
You better.
You better. And that just rang in my head, you know, like the same as that jingle. You better. You better, you better, you better. It's like, I don't recall you signing my fucking paychecks. So I just went up to him with the pancake tray and I just dumped it in his lap and like, there you go, bitch.
Wow.
I walked out.
That's all it took was you better.
And you know what? I was out there in the parking lot for about 7 hours because I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a ride. It wasn't 7 hours, more like 4 or 5. But I was just wandering around in a parking lot. I couldn't even stay in the IHOP parking lot because I didn't want anyone from there to come in, but I just wandered around the parking lot of this shopping center for 4 hours waiting for my girlfriend to show up. When she finally did, I was just like, yeah, I quit. Didn't tell her the story. Just told her I quit. And we broke up shortly after that.
I would imagine that
Yeah.
wouldn't work out.
It didn't work out.
Well, you were 18.
Yeah, I was
Impulsive.
young. I was young and stupid.
You were young.
Now
you
I'm
were
old and
impulsive,
stupid.
You were antisocial slightly. Forced into a situation that you didn't desire.
I'm extremely antisocial in general.
Are you?
Yeah, still to this day.
But that's interesting because you do YouTube videos and you talk.
Yeah.
And you talk with people on a podcast, which is pretty social.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it.
Well,
But
that's good.
I'm still not comfortable around strangers and shit.
You get uncomfortable when you do podcasts like this one. Does this make you uncomfortable?
Oh yeah, like a lot of people when I guess they figured out I was coming on here again. I read a thread on the Drunken Peasants subreddit where people were talking about he's gonna be on Joe Rogan again, and people were like, yeah, I liked last time, but I hope he's not so nervous this time.
Uh-oh. You can't say that.
Because he's like, I'm like, oh shit. Well, I was nervous last time. Like last time I did your show, I came in here and I talked to you, and then I left, and I was like, I have no idea what the content of the conversation I just had was. I don't remember.
When I got here,
I don't
you were
remember
already,
a fucking word.
You were already baked out of your mind when I got here.
That's true too.
I don't remember much of what we talked about either, but it was good. That's why you're back.
Yeah, I mean,
That's fun.
I enjoyed it. I've never been able to watch it though.
Yeah, I don't watch them.
I can't watch it at all. I mean, usually I will watch everything that I'm in and just am in love with the sound of my own voice and obsessive and, you know, all that shit. But like this show I couldn't watch just because like I can't watch my CNN appearance either.
What'd you do CNN about?
I went on CNN because there was like a new poll out that showed that faith was on the decline in America, so they had me on there. But unfortunately, I was supposed to be on 30 Minutes, but unfortunately that was the day that fucking Ratzinger resigned or whatever. So it got preempted for that shit. But I was on for about 4 minutes, and I had like an argument with William Lane Craig about statistics and, you know,
Who's William Lane Craig?
He's a Christian apologist piece of
Sounds
shit.
like one.
He's horrible. He's just wretched. You can watch him debate Hitchens, and I think no, he never debated Dawkins, but you can watch him debate Hitchens. Terrible stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like not so good. Just the name William Lane Craig. It's like, settle down, buddy. Here, one minute.
Yeah, why not just William Craig? Why you got to throw that Lane in there?
Unless you're married to someone whose last name is Lane, and that's always a disaster.
A
Those
hyphen.
hyphenated marriages,
Yeah.
that shit just seems like someone's like that is an oil wrestling match, and someone's gonna lose. You guys are gonna lose. It's not gonna work. It's too much struggle for power there.
That's true.
Hyphenated names.
Plus, what do you do if you have what? I mean,
Yeah.
what happens
The
when it
kids.
compounds? You know, like the kids are born. Do they take the hyphenated name?
Exactly.
And then what if they meet and fall in love with someone else who has a hyphenated name? Do they then have like 4 last names with
God, that's
with
a
3
very good
hyphens in it?
point.
You know, it's like,
It's a very
does
good
it just
point.
compound over time, like until eventually everyone has every single last name just hyphenated?
That's true. If everybody was so greedy and wanted to be special the way those assholes do, we would all have hyphenated names.
Yeah.
That would be a real problem.
Maybe just get rid of the fucking name change shit and just argue about what the kids are going to be named. I don't know.
How do you feel about people changing their names? Like, what if you just decided, like, I want to change my whole name,
I mean,
first and last. I just want to become a new person.
My dad changed his name.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he have a crazy
Look,
last name, hard to pronounce?
No, it wasn't that. My grandfather, look, I'm Thomas James Kirk III, but I'm the first person in my family to have that name. So,
What?
yeah. What happened was my grandfather was named James Vardaman Kirk. James Kirk. So when my
Okay.
dad was James Vardaman Kirk Jr., Star Trek came out at some point, and he's James Kirk. So he's getting Star Trek jokes nonstop all the time. Finally, he was in France, and he ordered up some champagne to his room. He was impressing a young woman. And they're like, oh, we'll beam it right up, sir. And he's like, fuck this name.
Wow.
I got to get rid of this. So when I was born, Thomas James Kirk III, because he knew he was changing his name to Thomas James Kirk Jr., but he didn't actually officially change it till after I was born. So even though I'm the third, I'm actually the first.
Whoa. That's crazy. No one would ever guess that on a trivia test.
Nope.
You would sneak that one right through. That's annoying. That's like, there's no one probably today that's named Rick James. Like anyone born after the Chappelle Show, there's no fucking way anyone who saw the Chappelle Show is naming their kid Rick James. If your last name's James, you're not going to name your boy Rick. Right?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people are like, damn right, Rick James,
I'm
bitch.
Rick James, bitch. That was a real problem with Chappelle's career. That Rick James, bitch thing, people would yell it out at shows. Just constantly yell it out. Like white bros. Like, the guy who would yell it? You could see him.
Yeah.
You know? I'm Rick James, bitch. Like, drunk.
Rick James, bitch! Woo!
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. And people apparently just kept doing it at his shows. It was like a real problem for a while.
You should have done like just be like Schwarzenegger. Just embrace it.
Yeah.
You know, Schwarzenegger goes around, he always is using all, you terminated and all this shit, you know. He just embraces it because he knows people just fucking get that shit in their head and they want to hear it. So he's like, fuck it, give it to him.
Yeah, he did it on The New Apprentice, right? He used
Yeah.
You're terminated.
You terminate, yeah.
I never saw it. Did you see it?
But no, I didn't. I didn't even watch the old one. But he'll fucking go around like, he'll do all of his little lines, I'll be back and all this shit.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. That's
just
his
embrace it.
trademark. That's his shit. He's not scared of it.
I love the fucking. There was a rally where someone threw eggs at Arnold Schwarzenegger.
They threw eggs at him?
Yeah, they threw eggs. It got on his suit, and he's like, "Well, that's what's great about America, but they owe me some bacon." You know, it's like, what? You're so fucking smooth, Arnold. You should be president.
They threw eggs at him.
Yeah.
Look up. People just looking for a reason to get mad.
I'm pissed because Arnold, he's the problem in America. Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger.
Was he a good governor?
No.
Was he a bad governor?
Nah, not really.
Was he just half-assed?
Just half-assed, mediocre governor.
Do you think it's almost impossible to jump in later in life without going through the river of politics first?
Well,
House of Cards style?
Trump's kind of done it.
You're right. But has he? I mean, he's in. But I mean, is it going to work? You know what I mean? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger got into, like in the relationship to the same, the same two sort of situations.
I mean, does it really? I mean, it works enough to where he's president.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah.
It worked that well. I mean, his approval ratings are kind of dog shit, but they always were.
But like when you say whether or not Arnold Schwarzenegger was a good governor,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really know enough about it. I would have to like really look into it. But
yeah, I mean, the big thing was that he tried to pass all these, I guess laws is not really the word I'm looking for, but I'll use that. He tried to pass all these like laws, and they all failed at the ballot, and people said he was done, and he just went out and like. He went out and made a speech that almost gave you the impression like he'd been against them from the start. Like, yes, these terrible laws, they are gone. It's like, okay, you're the one who pushed them, but whatever. He was really smooth at just operating with crowds and just knew what to say, knew the right attitude to strike. But in terms of actually governing, it was just mediocre. He didn't really get much done legislatively. But he wasn't really a disaster either.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. Like, I wonder how difficult it is to get things done. Like, we'd only be guessing, like sitting here on the outside, and that guy that you were talking to, like, Obama's a piece of shit, like that kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Like, how much of it do you think he really grasps?
Very little.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who's not doing it grasps how complex that system is.
Well, I mean, you and I probably both know that the more people you involve in any sort of endeavor or project, the more difficult it becomes because you're managing all these different interests.
For sure.
So when you're, president or governor or something like that, you have so many people that you're supposed to be representing, and they all have different ideas, and they all have their own, there's other legislators who have their agendas and shit, so it's probably pretty difficult to get much of anything done.
Could you imagine the stress of that job? I mean, just imagine.
Well, that's why Trump's been golfing so many times.
Just to try to relieve stress?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like, he criticized Obama for golfing too much, and now Trump's like a big, avid golfer.
I can't even imagine it. I mean, the guy's 70 years old, too. Like, why would he even want to take this on? With all that money and all that, all that power already. Like, why would he want to be the president? It just seems like such a fucking hellacious job. Unless he really feels like he can fix things, or he's really going to make a ton of money from it.
I mean, this is a guy who plasters his fucking name on buildings and shit, so I think it's really just a matter for him of, like, this is part of my legacy. Towards the end of my life, I was president of the United States.
It's so weird. Because it's another version of what many people did with Obama in this weird way. In that when Obama got into office, there was all these like really, really irrational people that said all kinds of crazy shit. And by the way, Trump was amongst them. He was a birther.
Yeah, he was.
Remember? For the longest time, he was convinced. Somebody convinced him. I don't know who convinced him. I don't know if he really relinquished it and realized he was wrong, or if he still holds on to the idea.
Did he ever really believe it, too?
I don't know. I don't know. But you know who started that whole birther thing? Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, she did.
That's right. That's something that people forget.
It was during the campaign between her and Obama when they were trying to get the nomination in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had one of her little orgs send out materials that showed Obama in like he was wearing like some African Muslim garb shit because he went on a visit to some other country. You look at him, he's Muslim.
God.
And and Trump just ran with that.
Yeah.
Or a lot of Republicans did too, because
Well, I guess that's just how they play politics. They have something like that. They just run with it. It's just so strange to see.
Well, when you got a candidate named Barack Obama,
I know, it's amazing.
It's easy.
Hussein
Obama, like
Barack Hussein Obama.
Hussein, isn't that the guy that ran Iraq? And Obama, isn't that similar to the name of the guy that crashed those planes into the towers? And
yeah, somebody had a joke, really good, well-worded joke. I don't remember who it was though. Might have been Tony Hinchcliffe, but it's just. This is almost a similar reaction. I don't mean it's more rational or less rational. What I mean is almost like the energy of the reaction, like the energy of the birthers and the guys who were convinced that he was some sort of undercover Muslim and then he was going to get into the White House and try to take America down from the inside. Like that feeling, that the amount of energy that way is mirrored now on the left. Maybe even past. I would say probably. I might not be right because I might not be remembering it perfectly, but I feel like the energy on the left of people getting mad at Trump is more powerful there's more to it than the energy that I saw from people on the right that wanted Obama out of office. Well, but it might just be my memory.
You got to remember, too, there's like an age gap there.
Yeah.
Because, most of the people who were talking this shit about Obama were pretty old.
Right.
And a lot of the people now that are pissed are really young, so they're more likely to take to the streets and, smash things and hold up signs and, act wild and shit.
And mace people.
Yeah, I remember when Bush took office, though. Like, when Bush was being inaugurated, I remember he was driving down to the White House on Inauguration Day, and there were... with Trump, the protesters kind of came the next day. But when Bush was inaugurated, the protesters were all there the day of, and Bush couldn't even do the little traditional walk down the last few blocks of the journey because there were so many protesters. And people were just throwing things at the fucking motorcade and shit. So this is not unusual.
But that was towards the end.
No, that was the very beginning.
Which one am I thinking of? Wasn't there one towards the very end that? I think we're thinking of different ones.
Okay.
I think my memory's fucked up, but I think there was one towards the end where they had planned on having him walk down some long stretch.
Yeah.
And they had to abandon it and get him into a car. Is that the same story?
That was well, I think that was both times. I think it was the first, but even during his first time, like when he was just first being inaugurated president in 2000.
So right after Clinton. Right, that inauguration was bad too.
It was almost the same. Yeah, it was terrible. It was almost the same as what you see now because people had this Democrat in power for 8 years and they thought and they thought Gore's a shoo-in because Clinton's popular. Mm-hmm. Just same as Hillary's a shoo-in because Obama's popular.
Right.
But, a Republican ended up taking it and they just freaked out. And it seems like that always just happens. This kind of backlash, it always is kind of sold to us as this is new. This is oh, wow, look at what's going on now. Isn't this crazy? What crazy times we live in. But I look back at my memories of the past, and it seems like this is pretty par for the course.
I think you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's almost like we go through these cycles.
Yeah.
And if a president gets past one cycle removed from his tenure, then people forgive him. They forget, and they change their opinion.
Yeah. Like
Reagan. Man, when I was a kid, Reagan was a pariah. People were so upset about Reagan. They were so upset, and there was the Contra versus Nicaragua trial that was on television with Oliver North.
Yeah.
And we were finding out on TV, whether or not the government had sold arms and lied about it, and then the whole Reagan thing with whether or not Reagan sold arms to Iran. The great Jimmy Tingle, hilarious stand-up comedian in Boston, has this bit about it because that was when Reagan started claiming Alzheimer's, or when he claimed memory issues, which turned out to be true. He really did have memory issues, and he probably did at the time. But they asked him, "Did you sell arms to Iraq?" He said, "I don't know." And Jimmy Tingle's like, "Mr. President, if you ever sell arms to people who hate us, jot it down." He's like, "Make a note. Put it on the refrigerator. Today I sold arms to people who hate me." You have to hear him say it.
You have to realize, though, America's always been a huge arms dealer. We're constantly selling weapons.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like if he didn't remember why he did it, it's probably because there were just so many other transactions. I don't think the president personally gets involved too much in that sort of stuff, but
No, probably not.
our country sells weapons all over the place, and we continue to do that.
Yeah. My point was that like 8 years later, he was the great Ronald Reagan.
Oh yeah,
8 years later.
lionized.
He goes through the Clinton administration. Everybody's done with Clinton, getting his dick sucked in the White House and all that craziness. And then as soon as that's over, people start reminiscing to Reagan. It's really interesting. It's really interesting how we do it. And so now Bush went through this period of being hated, and he's out of office. And Obama goes through his period of being hated for 8 years. And now that an even more unreasonable Republican's in office, people long to the Bush days.
Oh yeah, like you notice they're trotting Bush out and
Yeah.
doing interviews with him, like, "Hey, remember this war criminal? Now he's okay.
He's Uncle Bush. It's
Yeah.
Uncle Bush here.
Uncle Bush gonna set you on his knee."
They superimpose, what is that, protests during the Bush
Protests from
administration?
his inaugurations, yeah.
Yep.
What is it saying? Fuck Bush? Oh,
Yeah,
Buck Fush.
Buck Bush.
Buck Fush.
There's a couple "You're Not My President" things.
Of course, man. Of course.
So this is all so cyclic.
Yeah.
It just happens over and over again, and people think it's new, and for some, I guess it's the country just has a short memory.
Dude, what a crazy show this is. What a crazy show we're watching. The battle to control the world.
Yeah, political theater, pageantry. But it's just, I mean, like, I don't want to get into you already had Alex Jones on the show, so I can't really get into that level of territory. But I mean, I do agree that these parties are constantly just working together behind the scenes, and that 90% of the issues they agree on, they just make a big spectacle of the little things they actually disagree on to, distract us with a show. Look, America, look at us, we're fighting.
Right.
Have they stopped paying attention? Okay, now we do the real deals. Who are we gonna bomb? Who are we gonna invade? Who are we gonna sell weapons to? Whatever.
Yeah. It's probably definitely some of that. I mean, if they're all working together. If you watch House of Cards. Do you watch House of Cards?
I watched the first season, but when he started pushing people in front of trains and shit, I was like, meh.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. This is the beginning of season 2. I mean, if they ain't seen it, whatever.
Listen, man, I'm only on season 3.
Oh, okay.
I just got into it. I've been binge watching.
Binging it.
Yeah.
Look, I really like Kevin Spacey's performance, but it just got a little over the top for me.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, we all have different standards.
I guess so. I'm sorry. I'm not insulting the show.
Isn't that a funny thing though? Like if someone likes something and you don't like it, it gets personal.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like especially like music.
Oh,
With
yeah.
music. It's like you listen to that shit. This is really shit you listen to. Like people get mad. Right?
I can get mad like if someone's like, I really like Beyonce or something. I'll be like,
You'd get mad. What if you got in the car and someone's playing like some like electronica?
that like
Like a villain in some sort of a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Type, like Big Lebowski villain. Remember those guys?
I was in an Uber the other day where someone was playing it sounded like fucking elevator music. Like it was like he was just listening to the shit you hear in fucking elevators, and it was like a 45-minute drive. And I'm just like, oh my God. I mean, I can't say anything. It's his fucking car. But this is driving me fucking up the wall.
Could you bring it up to him? Are you allowed to bring it up?
I mean, I'm sure I'm allowed to. I mean, there's nothing that's gonna happen if I bring it up. But I mean, I don't want to have that discussion. Like, hey, can you change your music because it's horrible to me and it's grating on my last nerve right now.
You're supposed to. You get control of that music with the app.
Wait a minute.
I'm bad at dealing with people.
With the app?
Yeah, with the Uber app, there's a button that connects to your Spotify. So they're supposed to offer you the aux cord when you get in the car, so you can control the music, which is double annoying for the driver, I would imagine. But
Yeah.
they're supposed to give you control.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
See, I've never taken that right.
So you let them just
I just let them do what
take
they do
over with their shitty music.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to drive around in this fucking car all day, and I'm
Yeah.
just getting a ride. So I feel like an asshole being like, no, I'm going to impose my musical taste on you. Because I feel like it's their car, whatever.
Well, it's definitely their car. It's also what's weird is why is music suck to us and it's great to some people? Like, what is that? Like,
Yeah,
what is it about a song that you go, oh, that's a fucking great song, and someone else will go, turn that off?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it kind of reminds me of something with food. Like, people have different food preferences and shit. I always wonder, like, I'm eating a pickle and, I like it. Other people hate pickles. So when they eat a pickle, does it taste different to them than it does to me? Or
Yeah, exactly.
is it the same taste, but they just don't like that taste?
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder the same thing about the music thing.
Yeah. I think for sure. I think it's probably a visual thing too, and not visual in terms of like taking account of space and mass, but visual in account of like what each individual image does for you, like how it looks to you.
Yeah.
And like the overall feeling it gives you. I think it's different for everybody. It just has to be. It has to be. I mean, what else would account for all the different tastes?
Yeah.
The obvious different, especially music. But then there's like tastes that you vary yourself. Like, you ever catch yourself in some weird mix, like you hit iPod Shuffle or something like that, and you catch some weird mix of songs that you like, and you're like, wow, they just do not go together. Like, these two are just really weird back to back.
Yeah. Going back to the food thing, like, there's certain foods you might like, but maybe together they're not so great.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And there's certain foods you would think would not be good together, but are amazing. Like pineapple and anchovies.
See, I don't like either of those by themselves. So,
Dude, on pizza,
Yeah.
pineapple anchovy pizza,
oh, you're one of those pineapple on pizza people, huh?
very rarely, only with anchovies. I'm not a Hawaiian pizza guy.
Yeah.
I don't even think Hawaiians are Hawaiian pizza people. Who's getting that ham and? I'm a big.
If it's Canadian bacon, why is it a Hawaiian pizza?
That's a real good question, man. That's a super good question. Why is it? And how the fuck is that bacon?
It's not.
That's
and then, if you go to
ridiculous.
Canada and say, I want some bacon, they don't bring you that shit.
Yeah, that's some. Yeah, what is that? That's like a Belgian waffle. Why is it from Belgium? Is it a goddamn? Is that a waffle?
No,
the fuck is
the
this?
fucked up thing is I went to Belgium.
They
And I
didn't
got a
have 'em?
waffle there. And it's nothing like what they fucking say. The Belgian waffles here, they're like round and you eat it on a plate with syrup. They give you like, it's like street food there. You get like a little tiny fork and there's like a small waffle. It's not even round. And they put whatever the fuck you want. It's not just syrup. They'll put like fresh strawberries and all kinds of shit on there. And you just
really?
sit there and eat it with this little tiny ridiculous fork. And it's totally different than what's called a Belgian waffle in America.
So it's like one of those. You ever go to one of those crepe stands?
Yeah.
That's in the mall. Like they make you little crepes and waffles and stuff, and they put Nutella on them and a bunch of different.
I would say it's
toppings.
probably closer to that.
Yeah, that's goddamn delicious. That's way better than a Belgian waffle.
Fuck yeah.
But a Belgian waffle's easy to do. Just boom, put it in that mold,
Yeah.
stamp that sucker down, pull out that waffle.
TJ and Joe Rogan talk about waffles.
It's important to talk about waffles. Waffle House, one of the best road foods ever.
And
because you can guarantee you're going to get the same thing pretty much everywhere.
no
and
one
it's
else
gonna
can
be
do
edible.
no one else can do hash browns that I like
They
other
do
than
some
Waffle House.
goddamn good hash browns.
They're putting crack in those fucking hash browns.
The waffles are ridiculous. They're so
Dude,
good.
and you see so much crazy shit at Waffle Houses too. Like I was at a Waffle House and the service was terrible. I was in there for like an hour and a half, but goddamn, the show was amazing because the cook and the one waitress hated each other and were fighting the entire time. And it got to the point where she runs out. She's in the parking lot crying, and he's like giving me free food. Don't report this, and you got free food.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like, all right, thanks. Went to another Waffle House when I was not really a kid, but like a teenager. The guy that ran that Waffle House was a fucking psycho. The cook, he would just yell at you. He came over to my table one time, and he's like, "This waitress is getting off soon. I think you guys need to go. Go pay your bill and go."
Whoa.
I'm like, okay. I mean, this is open 24 hours, right? Like, what? He's like, no, close it out because she's got to go. I guess she wants the tip before she leaves or whatever. So that was weird. One time a drunk came in there holding a bottle of wine or something, and he was just like, "No, get that out of here. That's not allowed in here. Get out."
Whoa.
Just like very intense all the time. I think he was like a retired cop or something that was just didn't get his pension or some shit, so he's at a Waffle
Maybe he
House.
spent his pension on the Waffle House to make it big.
I mean, I don't think he wasn't the owner. He's just the fucking cook.
Oh.
Just a cook who's like cantankerous and angry and would yell at you and attack you.
Weird food places, man. Like weird food places you travel in and you, for a brief period of time, enter into these people's worlds and watch them interact with each
Iron
other.
skillet.
I went to this Montana diner, this really small diner outside of Billings, Montana, with a few of my friends, and we pulled into this diner, and we had just got done hunting for 5 days in the mountains. So we were dirty, and it was like we were tired. We'd just been camping this whole time. We just got off of a boat, and this guy had a big piece of cardboard, like 4 by 4, like 4 feet by 4 feet cardboard with photos of all these different Marines that he had propped up on like an easel board. And on it had all the different soldiers that had died under like Obama's watch in this one particular mission. And he kept pointing out, like, these are 11 of our boys that died because of this president, so-called president, he's not my president, not my president. You know?
Yeah.
It got to that weird shit, and he was coming over to the table and talking to us while we're there eating. I'll never forget that guy. It was just so bizarre. Like, you had to go, yep, it's terrible. Yep, it's terrible. Can we eat and leave? Like, we were stuck while this guy like hovered over us with his lecture, his PowerPoint presentation. I mean, he had like photos of these guys up on this thing, and he wanted to talk to everybody about it. Like,
I had a weird food experience in Colorado, because I drove all the way from Columbus to Seattle when I was moving, because we had like dogs and lizards and all kinds of shit. So we just decided to drive it. And, to make kind of a road trip of it, we stopped off in Colorado for like a couple days to check that out, because I'd never been there. We're at the hotel restaurant. The waiter we had was fucking like the most bipolar fucking dude in history, because we ordered this, fruit and meat cheese tray or whatever. Meat and cheese and, some other shit. And there's some nuts on it. And somehow it comes up. My girlfriend has, like, nut allergies.
oh no.
And, they're not severe. They're really mild. And she just avoids it by not eating those nuts. If something touches them, they're fine. But this guy, he's over there like, why didn't you tell me she had a nut allergy? And we're just kind of like, this is not a joke. This is a serious matter. Don't laugh. We take this very seriously here. I'm not exaggerating this fucking guy either. Like, this is like, he's like accosting us about this shit. He's like, I don't even know if I should bring that out. I don't even know if I should bring that out now. And we're like, just bring it out. She just won't eat the nuts. And she's like, she cannot have anything from the tray. You understand?
Oh, God.
Nothing from the tray can she. And we're like, and he kept asking, like, is it airborne? Is the nut allergy airborne?
Some people have an airborne nut allergy.
Sure, but she doesn't, and she told him that, and he's persistent, and he'd like ask it, but not wait for the answer. And then he'd come back, and he'd be totally pleasant, like, so you guys on the da-da-da?
Oh, no.
And then he'd leave, and he'd come back again, and he'd be crazy again. Like, she held up her glass, because he's like refilling, and her glass is kind of far away, so she like, holds it out, and he's like, put that back on the table. Put that back on the table. It's like, what?
Whoa.
You're a fucking psycho. That whole city, though, was high-strung as shit. Because I remember I went to a pot shop there, and the guy at the pot shop, he was like, first of all, I had to go to a waiting room, which is just weird, and like take a number, and then I was called into another room when I thought I was going to be able to buy weed, but instead it was just another waiting room. And then I finally get to the fucking little broom closet where they keep their meager supply of fucking weed. And there's this guy behind the counter, and he no shit was like, what's up? I'm like, please, what? And then we had 4 people with us. He proceeds to do it to everybody. So 4 times in a row, what's up? I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I smoke weed to, like, chill out and relax and shit, but you're just, like... And he's bitching about how hard his job is there, too. He's like, man, I can't wait till we get off work so we can get really high. I mean, we're already high, but we're going to get real high.
That guy gets the vote, too.
And then there was when I was leaving that fucking place, there was, like, a syringe, like, on the floor of the fucking weed shop. I'm like, this Colorado weed shit is a joke. I think it's way better in Washington. You just go into a fucking store like any other store and buy it.
Well, I think what they're worried about more than anything is people robbing them.
Maybe.
That's probably why they make you go through steps, like step 1 into step 2.
Yeah, phased introduction.
Yeah, I mean, also they can isolate you from the outside if they have cameras. The cameras are monitoring you. It probably makes people less likely to try to attempt an armed robbery. Who knows?
But you can arm rob any fucking place. I mean,
For sure.
It's not like that's exclusive to weed shops.
For sure. It's just a scary thing what they're doing, where they're not allowing them to use credit cards, and so they keep large chunks of cash around. I think they're trying to resolve that. I don't know if they have yet, but it was a giant issue for a long time because they would have to hire these, like mercenaries essentially.
Yeah.
Guys who work for like Blackwater and stuff like that those kind of guys to carry the money around or to guard the people that are carrying the money around.
Did you hear Jeff Sessions recently?
Yeah.
Saying that marijuana is it's just a destructive fucking drug that is almost as bad as heroin.
Yeah, he said that. Was it today or yesterday?
I think it was either today or yesterday that he said it.
I saw it. It's hilarious that this guy is in charge of anything.
Only slightly less awful was his words.
Only slightly less awful than heroin. Someone is without a doubt, if that's what he's expressing, someone's without a doubt influencing that. Like there's more than just his opinion here. This is not they have these meetings when they're discussing policy or they're discussing how they proceed. Like this isn't as simple as this one wacky dude's opinion and they leave him alone with his opinion. He has ultimate power. There's no way. There's a bunch of vested interests. There's a bunch of people that have tremendous amount of money at stake and would lose money if marijuana was legal. That is 100% why that guy's doing that.
Sure, but I mean, his personal opinion towards weed has always been really horrible.
I'm sure it's
so,
been,
but
you can't lie like that. Like that's just a fucking lie. Like you don't have any data to show that that's even remotely true. Heroin kills fuckloads of people. Their bodies are ravaged by it. Pot doesn't do a goddamn thing to you. It might make you a little loony.
Yeah, it's not even comparable.
No, and if you might be,
but
they had schizophrenia exams where they looked at all the population and they said, marijuana contributes to schizophrenia, and they were like, well, no, actually, no. If you look at the number, it's always 1%. And if those 1% are smoking pot or not smoking pot, it's still, the schizophrenia numbers have always been around 1%.
Yeah, I mean, look, schizophrenia can be exacerbated by marijuana.
I'm sure.
But it's not, it doesn't cause it.
Yeah, I think I'm not a brain scientist, nor are you. Are you? You're not.
I've dealt with schizophrenic people.
You know them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known a few. It's I think it probably varies like any other kind of mental illness. But
what pisses me off though more than even like the personal angle of like I'm a pot smoker and this affects me personally. I mean that does get my goat a little bit, but what really pisses me off is that Trump is Mr. Jobs.
Yeah.
This industry, this $7 billion recreational marijuana industry is employing like 100 to 150 people, part-time and full-time, that are along some rung of the ladder of like, oh, well, either they're working for the growers or they're doing the packaging or they're helping with the shipping. So this is like a huge job creator.
Right.
It's a huge moneymaker. This is what Trump ran on. Trump's like, I'm the jobs president. I'm going to bring jobs back. If they go after this industry, that's the exact opposite of bringing jobs back. That's shutting jobs down.
Yeah. What's shutting jobs down, though, were the kind of people that we don't really want around in the first place. I mean, they can sort of surmise that people that are running pot shops are probably pretty left-wing, pretty quickly.
Sure.
And so you're making more money for your opposition, whereas the pharmaceutical companies, they're nonpartisan.
Don't forget the alcohol industry too.
That's true. Both of them. The prison guard unions. That's what's really crazy. You find out that prison guard unions have worked to try to keep marijuana illegal. You're like, wow. Like what you're really saying is we want to extract money by putting people in cages. That's what you're really saying.
Well, that's what you get when you do a private prison industry.
God damn it, DJ.
I mean, I've done videos about this fucking private prison industry.
It's crazy.
And, I'm always surprised by just how tepid the response is. People are like, whatever, prisoners, who gives a shit? It's like, yeah, but what about the fact that plenty of people don't belong to be there? What about the fact that these people who run these prison industries sponsor legislation to put more people in jail in a country that already has the disproportionately highest prison population of any country on the planet while claiming to be the fucking land of the free?
Yeah, we put a fuckload of people in jail.
Tons.
I think what is the statistic? Some bananas thing about the percentage of people that the United States puts in jail as opposed to the rest of the world. But the rest of the world kills people.
Yeah, I mean, look,
they don't bother. They don't bother locking you up as much.
In some other countries, they just take you out in the back and fucking shoot you in the head. So
Did you see that mass grave they just found?
No.
They found a mass grave in Mexico. Really, really bad one. Apparently, they've found as many as 250 bodies.
Cartels or
yeah. See if you can find that, Jamie. It's a creepy story, man, because some teachers found it. They were looking for something else, and I think they just found some bones, and they started digging in, and they've only done like an excavation of a certain percentage of the land too that they're looking at, and like it might be as much.
So there could
thousands.
be like extensive mass graves throughout the entire area.
Sure, they didn't know this existed. Here it is. More than 250 human skulls found in Mexico.
Jesus.
Yeah, mass grave containing more than 250 human skulls was uncovered in central Mexico, most likely the victim of drug cartels over the years. Ugh, Jesus.
Either that or one very prolific serial killer.
That's guys are really getting shit done. Yeah, it's terrifying, man. And it's really terrifying that this massive drug war is happening to fuel the illegal drug market over here. Mm-hmm. And it's happening with a country that's connected to us. It's right there. We have like this massive issue going on, right?
Yeah.
And
well, why do you think the build a wall rhetoric is so effective?
Of course, sure. But it's just even more. Well, that's like the least effective option.
No, it is. It's terrible.
It's just the best option would be to make it legal and regulate everything, and to let adults do whatever the fuck they want to do. And if some asshole wants to take meth, let him take meth. Let him buy meth.
Yeah,
he can buy Adderall already.
A lot of these people who are doing these crazy drugs, they're only doing it because better drugs aren't available. They can't find them. They're too expensive. Like if you just legalize and regulate all these markets, which we know for a fact are going to exist no matter what, because people are just going to do fucking drugs. Whether it's legal or it's not legal.
Do you know the only thing that I really worry about, though, is opiates? Because I feel like if you made opiates legal, if you made them more accessible, I just know way too many people have lost their lives on them.
Yeah.
I know way too many people that have taken them, and then the whole thing got real slippery, and they just started fucking up at work, and they were on them all the time, and they got real foggy.
I mean, look, we live in a country full of obese people. And I'm pretty obese. That's terrible for your health. Probably not quite as bad as severe opiate addiction.
Nah, it's not even close.
But it leads to a whole plethora of health problems. And look, I mean, like we live in either we believe that people have the freedom to make their own choices about their own bodies, or we don't.
Right.
And to me, even if there is negative repercussions, like there's negative repercussions to being pro Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. We do have more gun violence because of that. I still believe in the Second Amendment. I do believe in probably more regulation for it, but...
You just fucked up right there, son.
Yeah.
You just opened up the gates of hell.
Open the gates of hell.
Motherfucker, you think you're smarter than the Founding Fathers? You're fucking... Were you going to update the Second Amendment?
I mean, we've already updated...
Goddamn Waffle House waiter.
We've already updated plenty of aspects of the Constitution. Not officially, but, like the privacy clause, that's just fucking gone.
Yeah.
So the Fourth Amendment is just, it's basically null and void at this point.
I don't want anybody doing heroin, but I don't think that it should be illegal. I think that stuff, I bet in certain circumstances, under severe pain, certain opiates, especially like natural opiates, probably feel wonderful. If you have like a severe back pain, you can't rest, and you take something like that, and you can. The real problem is those fucking pills get in people's DNA, man. They get attached to you in some terrifying way.
Yeah.
And people get into them more than almost anything I've ever seen.
And they actually are, like, the gateway drug thing is kind of mocked because it's attributed to weed, but those pills usually are a gateway to, begin injecting.
If they don't inject, I mean, they'll inject if it works just as good, and that's the only way they can get it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with a lot of people in Massachusetts. It was one of those episodes of Anthony Bourdain's show. He was out like near, I forget what area of Massachusetts, but it was all about how many people had been devastated by heroin addiction and heroin overdoses, and a lot of it came out of the OxyContin addictions.
Yeah.
They got the pills really easily, and then when it became less, when they started clamping down the regulations and made it harder for people to get prescriptions, then people turned to heroin because they were addicted to opiates.
Right.
Because it was just a part of who they were at that point.
And the whole country right now, I mean, like, because there's a big opiate crisis, doctors are not writing as many of these opiate prescriptions, and they're trying to make it harder to get, so a lot more people are turning to heroin. So now we just have a heroin crisis.
Yeah, and people don't know how much to take, they're overdosing and dying. It's so spooky. And
yeah, but if it was regulated, these same people who are already addicted to it, who are already going to seek it out, are already going to find it, first of all, there's no stigma, so they can actually go seek fucking treatment for it.
Right,
it's pretty difficult to admit you're a heroin addict when you're scared that you might go to fucking jail just for what you do.
Well, they don't use the best stuff to get people off drugs anyway.
Yeah.
Supposedly the most effective, and this is not from my personal experience, but the most effective drug to get people off drugs is that ibogaine stuff. Ibogaine, which is from the iboga tree, and apparently it has a massive impact on people that are addicted to heroin and pills and alcoholics and things along those lines.
Yeah.
Apparently that stuff just fucking knocks it right out of your system.
Interesting.
And and like really excellent rate of people staying off of it. An excellent percentage of people stay off of it permanently, as opposed to a lot of the other methods. It's hard for people to change their ways. That people get into these little patterns and they get into these habits. And if one of those habits also is physically addicting as well, like heroin is or like pills are,
yeah,
it's just really hard for people to kick that shit. It's terrifying to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I understand kind of because I do smoke.
Right.
So,
how much do you smoke?
At the worst, it was probably like 2 packs a day.
Oh, dude, that's a lot.
And now it's probably like half a pack a day.
That's better.
I've been down though to as low as like 3 or 4 cigarettes a day.
Why don't you just like limit yourself to something like that?
Because the only way I can actually do it is to get my girlfriend or my brother or somebody to dole them out to me, because I don't have the willpower to just say I ain't gonna do it.
What if you like in
and
the
then
morning?
It puts a lot of stress on them to have to regulate it, and me fucking bothering them, and I'll fucking deviously just like sneak out, go to the gas station, have like another pack. So I'm smoking those 4, but I'm also secretly smoking like another 4 or 5 off somewhere else.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
Yeah, that's not good.
Absolutely awful.
Do you have a problem with that type of behavior, or do you just accept it?
No. I realize when I'm doing it, like, wow, I'm a total piece of shit for doing this.
But is it just the moment feels so good to suck on that cigarette?
No,
to feel
it's really not, because
it's not?
It's fucking horrible. Every time I smoke a cigarette, I'm like, why am I doing this?
Huh.
But what happens is there's that moment before, or more than a moment, like the lead up to smoking a cigarette is like, God damn, that cigarette, when I get it, it's going to be so fucking good.
Really?
It's going to make me feel just fine and all this. And then I start smoking. I'm like, man, this fucking sucks. And then I put, I'll smoke it, or I'll smoke half of it and put it out or whatever. And then, next thing I know, 30 minutes to an hour later, it's like, man, that next cigarette I smoke, it's going to be so fucking nice.
Oh, okay. So it's the feeling before the cigarette the anticipation, and then the immediate reward is what?
The immediate reward is like disappointment.
Really?
It's just like, this sucks. This doesn't taste good. This isn't really changing my brain chemistry in a significant enough way.
It looks cool though.
You know what?
Like a rebel.
The visual element is nice. I like seeing the smoke just fucking climb up and shit.
Yeah.
That big fucking little stream of smoke, and it curls around and gets bigger and does all those fucking little weird acrobatics and shit.
But it does put you into a certain mindset if you're acknowledging that you're doing something absolutely ridiculous that's detrimental to your health.
Yeah.
You know it is. There's no debate. There's no debate
there's
as
none.
what it's terrible for. And you're like, I'm going to fuck.
It's not even I don't give a fuck though. I'm just fucking stupid. I'm just like, wow, I'm just a fucking drone for this shit.
It's a little bit of that, but it's a little bit of I want this cigarette in my body right now.
Yeah.
More than I want to be healthy later.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Because you're healthy enough to smoke it.
Instant gratification.
Instant. You're just giving a little piece of yourself To death. Just a little piece.
Yeah,
let me take a little piece.
Here you
now.
go, death.
Yeah, you're
I'm
like,
just gonna give you a little bit of my life force. You just take that, and in exchange, I'll puff on this stupid
yeah, it's like there's a bank account.
stick of leaves.
How much do you put in? How much do you take out? And when you're smoking cigarettes, you're greedy. You take a lot out of your account.
Yeah.
You just dig it into your account, and all of a sudden, you go to the shop, and you're like, yeah, can I get this on credit? And they're like, dude, you're out of credit.
Oh,
It's over.
damn.
You fucked up your lungs, son. You burnt them off.
Yeah.
That's really kind of what it is, right?
I agree. I don't have any argument with that analogy.
I mean, I wouldn't say stop doing it if you don't feel like you need to.
I went to my fucking doctor recently, and they gave me a book, and I haven't read it yet, but supposedly it's gonna help. So.
On cigarettes?
Yeah.
Mike Lacey, who owns a comedy and magic club, his wife works with people that have terminal lung cancer.
Yeah.
And he was explaining how they die.
Yeah.
And he's explaining that you're drowning on your own fluid, and that you're gasping for air as you leave this life.
Yeah.
He goes, and people are in sheer horror and terror. And he said, this is not something you ever want to do.
Maybe I should
ever.
visit the fucking the smokers ward or some shit.
Man, maybe you should. The thing is, when they go bad away from us. They go bad. They're in those hospitals somewhere, locked up in a room, and the nurses get to see them, and they'll tell you. The nurses are the ones you talk to if you want to find out how horrible it is to watch someone die from lung cancer.
Yeah.
But the way Mike Lacey was explaining it to Brian Redband, meanwhile, it went right in there and right out there and fell on the ground.
Yeah, that could happen, or I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. So who gives a shit?
I might not live forever anyway. Yeah, just too much desire to get that feel. And it's also, there's like a rebellious attitude that goes with it. I don't give a fuck about my health. Why do I give a fuck about anything?
Yeah. I mean, I do have problems finding like things to be passionate about or care about. But I guess in some ways I've tried to cultivate that because, like George Carlin and shit.
Yeah.
Like I loved that idea of, yeah, I'm an observer here. Like I'm not going to be part of this. I'm just going to look at it from the outside and be detached from it. And I've kind of tried to cultivate that in myself, but I've also noticed like it's kind of hard to draw upon my own passions the more I do that. So I don't know if I need to find a happier medium or what, but
That's interesting. So in your analysis of a subject, like when you're doing these YouTube videos, you're almost like an outsider looking in, and you feel like there's like a good strategy to that, maybe, or a good
I think it's
creative angle.
I try to make it. I guess I try to use it as like a thing to bolster objectivity. Like I don't want to be just saying what the crowd wants to hear.
Right.
I don't want to be just saying things because I think like this is going to be the most entertaining or whatever. Like I want it to be like, here's what I really fucking think about this.
Right. Right.
And I think you have to have like some kind of a wall of detachment because people aren't always going to react well to it and shit too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You almost have to be in a sort of antisocial place because if you're too social with these people, you won't judge them correctly.
I mean, like, look, people are very worried about, especially lately, about like advertising and shit influencing what people do and say.
Yeah.
But like, people don't really realize that it's really just as much of a danger to become beholden to the audience or to the mob and to go along with here's what we really want to hear from you.
For sure.
And it's like, well, that might be what you want to hear, but that's not what I'm going to fucking say.
Hey, TJ, how about you stick to this?
Yeah, exactly.
Stick to go back to your lane. What's your lane, bro?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you sound like you've experienced this as well, probably.
Yeah, well, look, there are a lot of people out there in this world. And if you want to get opinions from every single one of them and consider them individually without meeting any of those people, to me, that's shitty data. Okay? That's not good data. If I know you, I've talked to you. If you tell me something and you're a smart guy, I'll consider it. I'll be like, okay. Well, I know TJ, and TJ, if he's saying that, he wouldn't be saying it if he didn't believe it. So I have to think about what he's saying, and I'll have to go through my head and find out whether or not I agree with him. I'd have to, objectively look at it. You could be talking to a million insane people. There's no way You could individually react to each one of them. But you can get a sense of whether or not people are upset at you or not.
Oh, sure.
You can get a sense of whether or not logical people make sense, feel like you've crossed a line.
Look, I've noticed this really weird shift in the zeitgeist in the last year or so. And it's kind of started with this whole fake news thing. You know, the left was saying Trump got in because of fake news, and then Trump saying, "Oh, all the attacks against me are fake news." And I've seen on YouTube, we used to do this kayfabe stuff on our show. Kayfabe is like wrestling talk for fake, the pageantry of it. Like we're just pretending drama and shit. We used to do that all the time on my show, The Drunken Peasants Podcast. Suddenly, people turned on it. They're like, "We don't want this anymore." And and I got shit because I did this sponsored ad for this app called Candid. And people are like, everything you say is bullshit because you did this sponsored spot for Candid and you're fucking a shill. So we dismiss you. And it's because everyone's on this big fucking authenticity kick. But they're not really actually skeptical, though. They just want a demagogue to spew here's what you already think is true. I'm here to validate all of your feelings and all of your opinions. And a lot of these people seem to want me to be that, but I'm not that.
Yeah, they're going to want you to form to whatever their opinion of you is, and if you deviate from that, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to be upset. But it's up to you to figure out what the worst thing I think for any performer or artist is to get boxed into kind of a fake thing, like maybe a character that you do or something along those lines, and then you can't get out of it.
Rick James, bitch.
Yeah, well, like Bobcat Goldthwait had the hardest time because he had that that character that he would do, screaming and yelling, Bobcat character.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to just eventually be Bob Goldthwait. And people are like, no, fuck that, man. Where's the Bobcat thing? It took him years to get away from that.
He got love his
stuck.
films, by the way.
Oh, his films are great. Did you see the Bigfoot movie?
No.
Willow Creek. It's a fucking horror movie. It's really good.
Is it?
He did it like a Blair Witch Project type thing of these people up there Sasquatch hunting. And
look, I don't
want to say any more about it.
I'm pretty
really
skeptical.
good.
I'm like a big skeptic. I don't believe in a lot of this stuff, but I'm really fascinated by things like Bigfoot and aliens and the Loch Ness Monster and the Flat Earth and the Hollow Earth and all this stuff. Don't believe in any of it. In fact, I think most of it's totally fucking ridiculous. But I find it really fascinating because I kind of view it as almost like modern mythology. You kind of see the genesis of how people talk. People used to talk about succubuses coming in the night and stealing their essence and shit and seducing them.
Yeah.
And you kind of see the modern versions of that is the alien that takes you up into his ship and shoves a probe up your ass or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think the alien thing absolutely has something to do with dreaming, 100%. Because a giant percentage of these abduction events occur when someone's either napping or when someone's sleeping. They're always unconscious, almost always.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah. Well, it's not even just that. It's probably psychedelic compounds that are released in the brain during REM sleep. The reason why you have these wacky fucking dreams. I mean, you have dreams that are so insane. They're like a psychedelic trip. Yeah. Imagination has control of the psychedelic chemicals that power your brain and runs you on a trip. I mean, that's what it feels like.
I don't really suffer from it too bad anymore, but in my late teens and early 20s, I had really bad sleep paralysis.
Whoa.
And also accompanying that was, I forget if it's called hypnopopic hallucinations or hypnagogic hallucinations. But I could tell you, right, I'll be laying in bed, or I would be at the time, and I would kind of wake up, but I wouldn't be able to move my body. And then, and aside from that, you feel the overwhelming sense of there's another presence here. Ooh. And it's ominous. And you fucking, if you have the hypnagogic hallucinations or the hypnopopic hallucinations, one is when you hallucinate as you're going into sleep. One is when you hallucinate as you're coming out. I have the one where you hallucinate as you're coming out of sleep. So I would wake up, and probably the first time it happened, I was 11, and I saw this robed figure walk across my bedroom.
Whoa.
And then when I was 15,
What did it look like a real thing?
oh yeah, like it looked totally real.
It didn't look like it was transparent or anything.
No. It just
It was a
looked
dude
like
with a robe.
Yeah, it didn't look like a dude because it was like 4 feet tall.
Oh, like a gnome.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed it was like, because my uncle's a big UFO guy, so I'm like, I saw an alien.
Whoa.
And at the time, I was convinced of that. Later, I became more skeptical, and when I was like 15, I woke up and I saw this fucking figure standing at the foot of my bed. You ever seen the movie Dark City?
Yes.
It did that sleep thing from Dark City, and I was like, okay. And I
you
went back to sleep.
Holy shit, dude.
I woke up the next morning, I'm like, if that happens again, I'm going to fucking tackle this thing.
You sure that wasn't just a dream?
I'm pretty sure I was awake because the 2 weeks later, I saw it again, and I did like I planned to do. I fucking jumped up and I tried to tackle it, and it just kind of disappeared in my arms when I got to it,
dude.
And I was like, okay, well that was okay. I was relieved because I'm like, it was obviously a hallucination, and then I look up and its fucking head is floating there, and then this head vanishes.
Whoa.
But these are just hallucinations. I mean,
maybe, or maybe your fucking house is haunted.
They're not
son.
interdimensional beings.
How do you know?
Because
you sound so confident.
I've read pretty extensively about it. Because like when that shit happens to you, you want to know like what's going on here.
So when that
and
shit
actually
happens,
they can induce that state.
And
like they can put you into sleep paralysis, and you'll feel the presence, and you'll experience seeing things and all that stuff. They can put you in that mindset.
It's a matter of electrically stimulating certain areas of the scalp, right?
Yeah.
Which is really fascinating, isn't it? That they can actually target areas of the scalp and induce certain feelings and certain thoughts.
Yeah, we kind of delved into this last time we talked.
Yeah.
Consciousness and the afterlife and things of that nature.
I wonder though, like what would cause you to recall like an image from a really fucking cool movie like that and have it be like what weird combinations of things would cause, you know, like
when I was
something
reading
causes a hallucination to take a certain form. Like what is it? Is it your insecurities and fears? Is your nightmarish vision?
Probably that's the same thing that leads you to have certain visions and dreams and things. I mean, like it's part of your memory and psychology just manifesting
and imagination as well.
Yeah. Like there was a guy I was reading about his experiences, and he would see the guy from the front of the Exorcist poster standing in his room. He'd see that silhouette holding the briefcase and shit and looking up at the building.
Dude, when I was a kid, that movie was fucking terrifying. Like if you could watch it today and never fully impact what it did to people like me. What year is that? Like, I want to say it was like 76. Does that make sense? Which means I was like 9 years old. Find out what year The Exorcist was. What year was that?
I remember seeing the 25th anniversary. 73 is when it came
73.
out.
So I was younger than that. Who the fuck let me watch that? That's ridiculous, Mom. Mom, how dare you? But I remember being scared out of my fucking mind at this movie.
Yeah, there's the image right there.
That movie fucked with my head for years. And I started thinking about demons and the idea of being possessed and what could happen.
Yeah.
You watch it today, you'll laugh your ass off.
Oh yeah, I was.
You watch it today, you're like,
I was
bitch.
watching that movie at my uncle's house, and my mom came in the room, and she's like really easily frightened and stuff, and she just thought it was hilarious.
The Exorcist is hilarious.
I mean, it's funny by today's standard, but like if you go watch it in the context of like watch horror movies that came around the same time and before it, and it's like okay, you can kind of see why this blew people's minds at the time.
Well, when it happened, when that movie came out, there had never been anything like on that level where a little cute little girl becomes a demon and starts ramming a cross into her pussy.
Yeah.
Just fuck me, father, slamming. Was she saying fuck me, Jesus? What did she say?
I think she was just saying fuck me.
I don't remember what
I think she was just like, fuck me, fuck me.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I like when she's like, your mother sucks cocks in hell. Yeah. It was a beautiful moment in cinematic history.
I couldn't believe that was actually in a movie, that they said that in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, they would have trouble getting away with that fucking now.
Yeah.
Just given the age of the actress.
Oh, they wouldn't be allowed to. It would be illegal now. It would be illegal. Like
I mean,
that movie,
I don't know. It didn't like show anything. But yeah, it would probably be controversial even if it was made.
Just making that little kid act like that.
Yeah.
Like, look at those pictures of her, like when she was screaming and yelling. First of all, that little kid was fucking terrifyingly good.
Oh yeah, and you know she was they didn't like have much care for her well-being or anything either, because like, you know, that scene where she's spasming and flopping up and down, they were doing that with wires, and that fucked her back up for life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just like
man.
total disregard for her safety or well-being.
That fucked her back up for life when she was a little kid making this movie?
Yep.
Wow. Like, what did it do to her back? Do you know specifically?
I don't know. It just gave her back issues. I don't know if they were severe or what, but something got pulled or something got out of alignment.
Wow.
I mean, you saw how violently they had her flopping up and down on that bed.
Yeah, that's not good.
So, you know, the standards were different, I guess, at the time. But I think most people should realize don't permanently injure a child just to get an effect you want in a movie.
My kids are watching this TV show. It's like an old Disney show called Good Luck Charlie.
Yeah.
And Charlie's a little baby. It's a baby. It's the cutest little baby. But it's a baby.
Yeah.
Like maybe a year old or maybe 2 at the most. Like it's a tiny little thing. And that's the main character. Like, you imagine, like, not only do you not get to choose whether or not you want to be famous, want to be an actor, because you're a fucking baby, you can't even talk yet, you're already on TV. But the whole show's about you, so you can't quit.
Yeah, and, you know, I always wonder, like, when I'm watching movies, like, you see babies, like, crying and stuff, and, you know, like, how'd they make that baby cry?
They bite them.
Does it seem ethical? It doesn't really seem ethical.
It's definitely not ethical. It's fucked up, man.
Like, that's why when people are like, made fun of that American Sniper movie for using that little shitty plastic baby that was obviously fake, I'm like, whatever. It's better than fucking having some real kid and getting it to cry and stuff and whatever.
I blame Clint Eastwood on that. Like, you should have framed that better. Just frame away from that.
You could have sold it better.
Yeah, you could have filmed that in a different way. He films things a lot of times in a very sort of traditional way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great director and everything like that, but how the hell did he not see that rubber baby? Like, that looks so fake. It looks so stupid.
He's pretty old, you know. Give him a little.
I guess, but doesn't he have somebody there with him in the editing room going, Mr. Eastwood, that's a rubber baby. It's pretty obvious.
Who's gonna tell Dirty Harry that the scene doesn't work, dude? You know.
I know. I get it. Remember when that whole movie was that was a weird time when that movie came out. That was like a movie where you had to say you liked it. If you didn't say you liked it, you risked violence.
I just didn't see it. So
I saw it.
I've seen it since then, but at the time I didn't watch it.
It just wasn't a very good movie.
No.
A lot of people loved the movie, and to them it was really good. To me, there was like so much, and this is probably my personal bias of like being out here and being in Hollywood and knowing how writers work and knowing how, you know, like they structure these things. And how what kind of effect the studio wants to have on the audience for a big mainstream movie. You could feel like the heavy hand of Hollywood all over it.
Oh yeah.
And you could feel like the way they were, the wording, the things that he said, and the whole thing was like so affected. It's like I'm not getting a good sense of what this guy's real life was.
It was
like.
propaganda.
Yeah, and then you find out about the Jesse Ventura thing where Jesse Ventura sued him because he made up some story about beating him up, and apparently there was a few other stories that weren't true as well that were in that book.
That fucked Jesse Ventura's career up a little bit, too.
Still does.
Yeah.
He was just on. He was talking about it. It cost him over $1 million in legal fees.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for, 4 years now?
He got a judgment in his favor, but then they shiftily took it away somehow. I forget the exact.
He lost on appeal.
Yeah.
It's not good. The whole thing's not good.
Because he's a hero.
Well, it's just, truth is truth. And you can't just make stuff up about people. And, maybe he should have dropped the lawsuit when the guy died. Maybe that would have been better for everybody. But that's his decision. He felt like he was wronged, and he felt like he was going after the publishers.
When the legend becomes truth, print the legend.
Yeah. But it's just, I think also you're dealing with the pressures of war being so alien to most people that when you and I, who have not been to war, sit around talking and debating about what it's like to be like the most decorated sniper ever, or a guy who experiences that much action and sees that much death, and to really try to rationalize what goes in and out of their mind and like what their grasp on reality is like. And then there's also the opportunity that this guy has. If you're leaving the military and writing a book, why not just make a bunch of crazy shit up and make it even better to sell more fucking books? I mean, it's very possible that someone would take that attitude. Like, look, I'm not going to tell you most of the truth anyway, because it's none of your business, and it's some of it might be classified, and some of it might be illegal for me to talk about. But maybe I make up a bunch of crazy shit, sell some books. Now I'm on the selling me stage of my life.
Yeah, you know, and look, he was probably always doing that to some extent, you know, because you don't become the top American sniper unless you already have a preconceived notion of yourself as like, I'm this badass and I'm this great warrior, and anything you can say to add to that, you're gonna say.
Well, I think maybe you could just be a badass sniper, right? Couldn't you just be some dude who just excels?
Well, I mean, but you look at his character and the sort of stories that he's made up and shit, and it's obvious that, you know, while he did have actual skills, he was also fond of embellishing the skills he did have to make himself even more legendary.
Yeah. And why is the question, you know, because there are people that think that the horrors of war, like we talked about, bend the mind and bend perception and bend the way you look at reality in some people more severe ways than other people.
Sure.
It's the request or the task that we give young people where they go off to war at fucking 18 years of age, and we ship them off, get them to shoot people, and then come back and integrate and try to be a normal part of society, and then with almost no education, almost no assistance, no help, no carrying them along, you should be looking at them and talking to them very carefully. You've asked them to do a crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the like 18 is around the time when I was just willing to dump like pancakes on some dude's lap because he fucking, said a cross thing to me. So
yeah, exactly.
To take people at that age and mindset who haven't even really, I mean, I guess they've kind of reached the age of reason and stuff in the eyes of society, but they're not like fully formed adult minds yet. It's like, hey, you're pretty much still a kid in a lot of ways. Go overseas and kill some other people's fucking kids. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, let's try.
Go
to
over there and blow
some
some brains out. Ooh, you blew out more brains than anyone else. You're a hero. You're great.
That's a weird way of looking at it, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
When you're asking someone to do something before they're a certain age, like you have a certain amount of authority over a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old when you give them a gun and tell them that they're supposed to do it. They believe they're supposed to do it because you're older and you tell them that they're supposed to do it. It's the reason why 40-year-old guys don't sign up for the Army. Because when a guy's 40, might have a family of his own, might have a life of his own, he's like, wait, why the fuck are we going over there? What have these guys done to us? Hold on. When are we charging? At dawn? Okay, what's the plan? Like, you're going to ask questions. They're not going to just trust you at face value.
And that's no good.
It's terrible. When you want soldiers, you want someone who just listens. But
yeah.
Who are you listening to, though? Like, who are you listening to and why are you listening to that guy? And how did you get into this situation? Well, they don't think about that. They're fucking 18. It's just asking people to go from that to regular life. It's such a bizarre request.
Yeah, my stepdad tried to get me to join the military when I was younger because he saw me and like, your life has no direction. You know what you need? Military.
I thought about doing it.
I didn't really give it much thought. I went to the recruiting office and let him give me a sales pitch. But,
did you?
Yeah.
Oh, so you went that far. I never went into a recruiting office. Thank God.
I took a little aptitude test, and they're like, you could be, military intelligence. I'm like, eh. But I heard that a lot of times they sucker you in with that, like, you're going to be military intelligence, but then if you don't cut it, they're like, well, you didn't cut it. You're a grunt now.
Yeah, I have heard that. I've heard that recruiters will bullshit you and, tell you they're going to get you some cool job inside the military, and then once you get in there, they give you the job they were thinking about giving you in the first place. Yeah. Yeah, they don't. It's not like a college where you. Yeah,
you get to choose your major and all this.
Yeah, there's none of that. No, they'll decide. In many ways, it's like it's sort of communist in a way. You get paid very little, you work very hard, everything is for company.
Yeah.
It's really kind of weird.
Yeah, well, America has a strange relationship with that sort of collectivism.
When you think about it that way, like, it has to probably be that way in order for you to function together as soldiers in war.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you really want a unit where everyone's constantly questioning orders and,
No.
I mean, as much as we kind of place value on that, like, it's good to think for yourself and it's good to question things. If you're trying to be an effective military, that's not what's good. What's good is you do what you're fucking told.
Exactly.
So that's probably why they use 18-year-olds to begin with. But The problem is, even if we're going to accept the reality that that's how it has to be, there has to be more oversight about where are we going to send these people, what reasons have to be in place for us to send these people. And we're still in Iraq, we're still in Afghanistan. Obama during his presidency bombed 7 countries with drone strikes. By the way, I don't know if you've ever seen the report that like 90% of drone strikes didn't kill their intended targets.
Yeah, 90% civilian casualties.
Yeah, so terribly ineffectual. Like, why our country is like spreading bad will across the world, especially in the Middle East, which is like a hotbed of fucking crazy fucks anyway.
Just doing it that way in general, robots flying from the sky, like you gotta make sure those things work. Like if you're gonna you can't be that off where you're killing. I mean, it was in the high 80%, wasn't it? Last time we checked, what the civilian casualty rate was, unintended casualties for drone strikes.
Yeah, if you have any weapon that has like 10% effectiveness at killing its target, like that's not a good weapon. That's a piece of shit.
It's just, but we're like, yeah. But listen, this way we don't have to send soldiers, and we just fly it in, and we just shoot the missiles, and we get the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
like that's really what they're saying.
I can see the appeal of that, but make sure the technology is there.
In a way, it might be like the most racist way to kill people.
Yeah. We're not even willing to risk our own lives to kill you. We're just going to kill you from afar.
And we're not as concerned about killing civilians because no one's there doing it because we're all the way in Nevada with a fucking Xbox controller.
Yeah. And everyone we're killing is just some brown Muslim people, so it's okay.
Okay. Nearly 90% of the people killed in airstrikes were not the intended targets.
And some of these still might have been bad people. I mean, they're hanging around with fucking,
or they might have
terrorists
been
and shit. Some of them were. I mean, we saw in the Yemen raid that plenty of those victims were kids.
Is there footage of a drone, like watching a drone shoot down something? Is there? I want to see what it looks like. Like, see if you could pull up a video. Is it from the drone's point of view, or is it?
It
like
is
people seeing the drone.
Usually, you'll see it from the drone perspective.
I would like to see what it looks like a drone launch something. Like if you were on the ground, you saw a drone launch something in the distance.
Here we go.
Just.
Yeah,
that's what it usually is. Like so dehumanized.
Boom, 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 boom. You're dead.
Insane too. I mean, the way it
just
takes
some dudes
people
walking
out.
down the street,
and then they empty into that. Look at that. Look at that. The guys move. Oh my god.
You imagine that just walking down the street. Do. Boom. You're dead. Fucking fireball of death consumes you instantly.
Oh man.
Incinerated off the face of the fucking earth.
Well, that WikiLeaks one, the first one.
You see him trying to get away and shit.
Collateral murder. Remember they called it collateral murder?
Yeah.
They put that video out, and you got to see like how they're reacting to gunning these people down the street, and they find out it's the wrong people.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's like, whoops.
Yeah, like wow. And that this got out, and it shouldn't have gotten out. That was the big WikiLeaks rub, right? They shouldn't have released that. We shouldn't know.
Yeah, we shouldn't know when our tax dollars fund the murder of civilians.
The accidental, unintended murder of a guy with a camera that you thought was a gun.
Yeah, but when you see the statistic that 90% of these strikes are killing the wrong people, I mean,
Yeah,
it's happening all the time.
But isn't it crazy how shit their optics are, that they can't tell the difference between a rifle and a camera at distance?
Yeah, and it's not even just the optics too. It's just it's bad intelligence. Like they'll just, because they don't have to actually risk any troops.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, someone says like, yeah, I think he's at this house. Oh, okay. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that's true, right? If they were on the ground, they wouldn't treat it that way. If they were on the ground, then we saw people on the ground. They were walking down the street, and they saw the photographer with the camera. They probably wouldn't treat it. There's no way they would just open fire and gun everybody down as soon as they saw the people.
Yeah.
So you just gun everybody down that you run into on your way to the bad guys.
Yeah,
the suspected bad guys.
But when you have that level of detachment where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like a fucking video game. Oops, I killed some civilians. Okay, we'll deduct some points from the scoreboard.
Yeah, because if you were on the ground and the same thing happened, wouldn't you be judged differently? Like if you were on the ground and you were moving down the street and you saw a bunch of people in front of you and one guy had a camera and you just gunned them all down, the women, the kids, everybody in front of them.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, hey, They shouldn't have been out here with their kids, and I didn't think that was a camera. Well, that's essentially exactly what the guy said from the helicopter, right?
Yeah, but it's different.
It's different because he's not there.
There's a level of detachment. There's that wall of separation.
That wall of separation is kind of fucked.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's scary. 90%.
90.
So let's just keep doing it that way then, for sure.
Well, we're going to. There's nothing we can do about it. Look, this when I talk about the collusion between the Democrats and the Republicans. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. This doesn't stop.
Military stuff.
Yeah, this stuff
true.
doesn't seem to stop.
That's
Whether
a good point.
It's D or R,
right? That's
this
a good point.
military, this American empire that we're trying to maintain across the globe, that keeps happening.
That's actually a very good point, because that stays consistent, and then the battle over transgender bathrooms take front page of the news, and then but the war aspect of it stays consistent. The drone aspect stays consistent if it doesn't ramp up, and it looks like it's ramping up a little bit with Trump, right?
Maybe. I think that remains to be seen.
Yeah, does it?
Obama's been pretty. Obama was pretty bad about it. I mean,
for sure,
he was extremely violent. Drone strikes increased under him. Now, some of that's just because the technology improved.
Well, there's a lot of things about him that were so confusing. The drone strikes is just one of them. How about the attacks on whistleblowers? Like, whatever happened to what you said in your shit? Like, you had that Hope and Change website. Like, the whole thing was you're gonna offer protection to whistleblowers. Well, you had like one of the biggest whistleblowers in the history of the world.
Yeah. The idea of transparency, too, that was like a big thing. Transparency, but then you prosecute whistleblowers who revealed the illegal activities of the government. That's why when Trump was like, he wiretapped Trump Tower, I'm like, so what? He wiretapped America. The NSA was,
right,
and still is, like, just gathering everyone's text messages, everyone's phone calls, archiving that shit in a big server somewhere. So
hasn't he walked that back, though? Hasn't he said now that he doesn't think that it was a wiretap, that it was like something else?
Yeah, sure. But I mean, like, the point is that all the phones are fucking tapped now.
Of course.
So what does it matter?
Yeah.
That information's already there. And, you know, the crazy thing is that not only is it there for those agencies, but it's there for anyone who can hack into those agencies to get. And, you know, if the CIA, the NSA developed it, the CIA, we now know, has its own version of it. I wonder how many private companies have their own version of this fucking server.
Yeah, when we found out that the CIA has their own version of it, everybody was like, what? Them too? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, they're even worse than the NSA. So
how would you know?
Well, I mean, I guess I can't say with certainty they're worse, but the NSA's never been involved, as far as I know, in toppling the democratically elected leaders of other countries and installing puppets that are good for American business interests. So
the CIA has.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Numerous times.
Yeah, the idea of them all being able to listen to anybody's telephone calls, regardless of whether or not you're a terrorist, regardless of whether or not you're a felon, regardless of whether or not you were the nicest person of all time. They're like, yep, let me just check. Yep, you're still the nicest guy of all time.
Yeah, and they're using it for, I mean, it's not just being used for terrorism. I mean, they're using it for their drug war as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the drug war is going to have to ramp up if this marijuana legalization keeps kicking in. They're going to have to figure out some other way to arrest people. They have to keep the same jobs. I mean, they have a lot of jobs. They're going to have to justify.
I mean, Jeff Sessions could come to the pot shops like where I live, and I guess there's pot shops around here too, and they could fucking raid them. They could shut them down.
Yeah, they could legally.
Yeah, because it's still illegal under federal law. Obama chose not to do that. He chose to respect the will of the states. But the Trump administration is at least signaling that it's not going to. Because
of Sessions, you think? Because of appointing
I don't think
him?
it's just because of Sessions. I think Sessions is where he is partially because they want to do this crackdown.
That's interesting. You might be right. We'll have to find out about that. But the crackdown is not going to go well. It's a terrible idea. You let the genie out of the bottle. You gave people their freedom.
That'll be the death of the power of the Trump administration if they actually go through with something so stupid.
It would be stupid economically as well.
Oh, yeah.
It would show, I mean, you want to talk about transparency. It will show really clearly who your loyalty is to. That it's not to the will of the people, that it's to these companies that are benefiting from keeping marijuana illegal, period. That's it. And then we'd have to figure out a marijuana coalition. We've got to figure out a way. Like, there are fucking 100 million of us, I guarantee you, in this country. 100 million people that smoke pot. That's a lot of fucking people, and that number's going to grow.
It's a third of the country.
And it's going to grow. The more things are people are like, I can't believe Rogan really believes 100 million people smoke pot. You fucking idiot. You fucking waste product pot. There's a lot of fucking people. I might have made that number up. Let's say I did.
I fucking. I believe it. I believe it's probably at least close because even when I was living down south and I was hanging out with conservatives who love Trump,
they smoked a little weed.
Yeah, they're smoking weed.
Yeah,
not a little weed. They're smoking weed like crazy.
It's fun. It's fun to get high. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's wrong with it is the fact that it's been buttoned down into our brain, deep in our memory through propaganda, that it's bad for you. That's it.
Yeah.
If you looked at the actual effects it has on you, like we were talking about schizophrenics and blaming marijuana on schizophrenia, but it still seems across the board to be 1%. It's the same thing with dummies and lazy people.
Yeah.
When dummies and lazy people find out about pot, it ruins the idea of it for other people.
Sure.
They go, oh, well, look, it's associated with this loudmouth dummy. This loudmouth fucking lazy person who never gets anything done. He's always broke. He's always asking for money. That's a pothead. Potheads don't get shit done. Don't be a pothead. And then you get that in your head and you just run with it.
Well, there's plenty. Like we know, there's plenty of potheads that are really industrious and hardworking. It's
a lot of them.
You can't attribute something that was always part of someone's personality and say, well, marijuana caused that.
Exactly.
It doesn't totally change the nature of a person. It's not that powerful of a fucking drug.
Nor does coffee.
No.
Nor does alcohol. Nor
do cigarettes, for that matter.
Exactly.
Well, alcohol can change some people.
That's true. It was a bad example. Canada's justice system is crumbling as cannabis raids continue. So, they've been busting all these fucking pot places. I thought you guys had your social justice warrior president, and everybody was going to get to pick their own gender pronouns, and now you're raiding pot places. Okay, look at this. 6,500 cases in provincial court could be soon dropped due to delays, including 38 for homicide or attempted murder. One terrible case last year, a man named Kenneth Williamson was convicted of raping a minor over 100 times, but because of lengthy delays in taking his case to trial, his conviction was overturned.
Wait, is that so they could prosecute more marijuana?
No, this is just saying that their system is in such crisis, and this marijuana case where they're arresting all these people for marijuana, it's insane because their justice system is already in the crisis. So it says, considering the justice system crisis, cannabis should obviously be the lowest priority for police and the courts, but it's not. Not only are police launching more raids against dispensaries than ever before, but ridiculous charges for small-scale cannabis crimes are continuing from coast to coast.
So they have a justice system that's so broken that they can't even convict people who raped minors 100 times.
They can't take them to trial. I mean, but
it's that broken, but they're still trying to fucking catch people for smoking weed and just raiding dispensaries and shit like that. What a waste of fucking time.
If I had a guess, I would say it's some sort of compartmentalism in that, like, the drug people they don't go after the other crimes and they don't have to do it, and then there's a legal system that's backed up. But to put more people into the legal system just because you have to somehow or another justify the position that you're in, a cop, of a DEA cop, whatever they're called up there, that's fucking crazy. You got a broken system. You're preying on people. You're locking people up, putting them in a cage.
If you want to impress us, then convict that fucking rapist. Don't fucking prosecute people who are smoking weed.
For sure. And by the way, what you're doing right now seems like a crime. You're locking people up in a cage for a plant that everybody on the planet knows is not bad for you. So if you just decide that because of some fucking bullshit thing that's written on paper, that you should be able to go against all the science that's available today, all the common sense and the will of the people, and you should be able to go into people's houses, go into people's businesses, arrest them, take all their money, take all their pot, that's a crime. That sounds like a crime. It sounds like you're using your position and you're using it to just mark one up on the scoreboard. We got some convictions today, good solid ones. Bunch of dopers. Caught us a bunch of dopers.
Had to let that crazed pedophile go, but we got all the dope heads.
Yeah, finally got them dopers.
The real scourge of society.
That guy fucked 100 kids, but you know what he didn't? He didn't fuck them over by giving them pot.
Yeah.
Okay?
At least he wasn't smoking no weed.
At least those kids are going to remember what he did to them. It's not going to damage their memory.
Yeah.
Like that goddamn pot.
They're going to remember it. They're going to remember it explicitly.
Jesus Christ. It's just, I can't believe that in this day and age, that shit is still going on. It just seems like, and Canada, I thought with this Trudeau guy was going to be more progressive than ever, which Canadians are complaining about it like crazy. And, you know, I've had Jordan Peterson on the podcast, and he hates what's going on now with this push towards being like as open-minded as possible with all these accepting of the gender pronouns, and that you're going to have to start putting people, you're going to have to start processing cases through the Human Rights Council, because if you don't use a person's proper gender pronoun, it could literally be considered a crime. Like, I think all that stuff on the left, when it goes way far, it gets really crazy, but it's probably a good thing to balance out the stuff on the right, and people figure out some sort of comfortable medium. But he's not being that at all. He's not. If the president is allowing this to go on, he's not being this progressive president. He's just not. If he's only going to be progressive towards transgender pronouns and whatever other ridiculous laws that they're swamped with, this is just a terrible precedent to set. Allowing them to lock people up for pot in 2017 is a fucking criminal waste of resources.
Yeah.
A criminal waste of manpower, a criminal intrusion on the freedom of those people that you're locking up. A criminal on the disruption that you're putting into their lives and the money that you're taking away from them for trading
and
in
out of your
something.
economy as well.
Yes, and fucking your economy up. And these people are trading in something that is very valuable to the community and to the human beings that consume it.
Yeah, you know, I consider myself probably more liberal than I am conservative, but when I see the priorities of liberals being identity politics shit, gender pronouns and stuff, and then so much of the real issues like just get ignored like this.
Yeah.
That makes me hesitant to even say like I'm a liberal or I'm more left wing than right wing or whatever, because I'm just like your priorities are totally fucked. They're totally out of order. You know, apparently in Canada they're fighting all these fucking politically correct identity politics battles, but they can't deal with the pot issue. Their police raids against pot dispensaries are actually up, and they're trying to charge people with petty fucking weed smoking crimes.
And this is a thing that people always go on about. Like, it's because it's pot, it seems like it's not a big issue. It's like it's not. We got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Well,
Look, TJ, okay? Yeah. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the stock market, okay? TJ, do you know about the war in Afghanistan, TJ?
Yeah.
Okay, we got problems, real problems. This fucking pot thing, you goddamn potheads. If it's not for your pot, oh, what am I going to do with it? But it's not that. And this is what people have to realize. It's about personal freedom.
Yeah.
It's about a person telling you what you can't do and enforcing it to the point of putting you in a fucking cage. And that thing, which had been an accepted part of civilization for thousands of years and is today accepted. It's an accepted part of civilization right now. But there's just these people that don't engage in it, that don't understand it, and that feel like they have the right to go and lock people up for it.
You know, when the Trump administration started signaling that they were going to take on weed, or that they were thinking about it at least, that it was on the table. Like,
so stupid.
At that point, I made a video where I was basically, it was like making all the cases why this is terrible, this is a bad idea. You know, I made the economics argument, I made the personal freedom argument. I pointed out the tremendous amount of revenue this is generating for the states that have legalized it.
Yeah.
And a huge part of the response was just like, yeah, oh yeah, of course he goes after Trump when Trump goes after his precious weed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's when he cares. That's the only thing that got him to care. It's like,
fucking
what are you talking
junkie.
about? I made fucking so many cogent arguments that hold water about the economic and personal liberty ramifications of something like this, and all you want to focus on is my personal usage of this fucking substance. It's bullshit.
Yeah, but it's a good thing to talk about because it'll get you talking about it like right now.
Sure.
It'll get you. It'll poke at you. They know. Because they know that people like you and I really do enjoy our marijuana. And when you try to take away the pot, we really do get upset.
Yeah, I mean, it was like kind of I was kind of like on the give Trump a chance bandwagon until they started signaling this stuff. So that's why I got shit.
It's a very, very foolish thing to try to step in 2017 with all the science and all the information and the public opinion and to say that marijuana is something that can get you locked up.
But it's almost as bad as heroin, for fuck's sake.
He's so stupid. That's a silly man. That guy needs a pot brownie more than anything in this life. He just needs Just a quarter. Just give him a quarter. Let him sit there. Let him think about his grandchildren. Let him think about fishing, and let him think about just napping in the sun and going to meet the good Lord in a few years. You don't have much time left, motherfucker. You want to ruin it for potheads? You're barely alive. Your hair's white, your posture's bad, and you're standing there lying. You're lying on television about heroin and pot being like really close. That's a crazy person who doesn't know what pot does. You're talking about pot, you obviously have no idea what it's like. It's like a person who's colorblind describing some sort of a kaleidoscope. You don't know what you're even talking about. Like, for a guy like him, if you want to have a person who's talking about individual experiences, they should have had, like if you're talking about someone who's talking about the effects of a chemical and whether or not it should be legal, they should have had some sort of experience with that chemical. They should know what it's doing. They should understand it, especially if it's safe, something like marijuana. So for you to talk about it and to have these ridiculous, you can't invest one evening in a safe environment. They'll do it in a laboratory or a hospital somewhere, pad up the rooms, and give you a pot cookie. And then put Pink Floyd's The Wall on. Just someone tell this fucking guy what it really is, because he's just talking out of his ass.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is just apocryphal or if this is an actual story, but I remember there being something about him saying that he thought the KKK were good guys until he found out they smoked weed.
No, that was, I think that was wrongly attributed to him.
Okay.
And that, not only that, there has been evidence that he's done many things for civil rights. I'd read that too. But I think it just might be the case of people being overzealous and trying to paint you could find things I'm sure that you've said or that I've said. If you take them completely out of context, you could paint a very different opinion.
Definitely.
It's fucking very hard to form an opinion of someone, like a legitimate opinion of someone without actually knowing them.
Yeah.
But you can have an opinion.
It's not that hard when they go out and say
policy.
that pot is nearly as dangerous as heroin, because that person at that point
true.
you're just like, this person is either delusional or is willfully deceptive.
Right, and the important part about it is it's not just a person. It's a person with an extreme amount of power.
Yeah.
It's a person in a very dangerous position of enforcing laws. And you go, okay, well, will you think that? That's crazy. That's not true. That's not true. Like, it just drives me nuts because I think it helps people. I really do. I really do. I really do think it's probably one of the best elements in terms of a happy, healthy society, staying grounded and being like a little more kind. I think it gives you a certain percentage more of kindness.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen it make people more empathetic, more tolerant towards one another. I've seen people who have anxiety that it helps. I've seen people who have anxiety that it exacerbates their anxiety too.
The edibles do, for sure.
Like the story I told about my brother at the beginning of the show. But by and large, I know a lot of people with like bad anxiety who smoke weed, and it makes them feel better. It makes them feel more comfortable in social situations.
You know
stuff
what
like
it does
that.
too, bro? It makes you fucking talk about weed.
Yeah.
How come you guys keep talking about weed? I get it. You like weed. Enough already, bro. I can read that now. I can read it in the comments.
It's there. It's already there.
Someone's typing it up.
Stop
right now.
talking about weed.
Get him. I'm gonna get. I know TJ reads these. That motherfucker. I'm gonna get him.
Don't talk about this. Talk about this instead.
Suck it. Feel the burn, you motherfucker.
Well, if you don't want us to talk about weed, then tell Jeff Sessions to stop signaling he's going after it.
Jeff Sessions needs to get high on mushrooms to get that guy in a nice room with velvet curtains and some gentle Jefferson Airplane from the 1960s.
Oh, yeah.
Real low candlelight.
Put some black light posters on the wall.
You don't need that.
He needs the black light. I want him to just sit there and stare at a poster and watch it change shapes and colors a bunch of times and like, whoa.
Yeah, you know what we do? We do black light posters. There he is. But only
it's hard to imagine that fucker on shrooms.
No, it's not. Easy. I see him wearing like an African garb.
Oh, yeah.
Like some sort of macrame beads around his neck and shit. But all the posters on the wall, they're all that Bruce Lee poster from Enter the Dragon with the blood across his chest. That's the greatest velvet poster of all time. It's the ultimate Trailer Park Kung Fu Master poster.
Oh, yeah.
Have that motherfucker up.
Have him watch
in
that.
front of it.
Watch all the things it turns into.
Yeah. Poor old guy. He's going to go to his grave without trying mushrooms. He's going to go to his grave thinking weed is as bad as heroin.
Maybe he took mushrooms and that was the revelation he had. Wow, marijuana is almost as bad as heroin is.
It's so stupid because it doesn't kill you. And it's actually better for a lot of people for pain than even heroin is, especially edible pot. Edible pot is supposed to be really good for people that have chronic pain. Just a massive reducer of inflammation. But you can function on it. Like, especially physiologically, you can function. Like, if you do something you already know how to do and you're high on pot, especially like pot edibles, it doesn't have any like performance like decreasing elements to it. It doesn't decrease your performance. In fact, a lot of people do it right before they do jiu-jitsu because they think it increases their performance.
I've known people who get high before they go work out because they're like, it's going to keep me more focused and especially if you're smoking like a strong sativa strain, it might give them a little energy burst.
Yeah, you feel it, man. You feel like the fibers of your muscles. It's great before yoga. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really do a lot of like physical activities that much, but like if I'm going to do like stretching or something, it's nice to be high and just
because the best.
Your muscles are way more relaxed and stuff. You're able to you have like flexibility you don't really have if you're just stone cold sober, and all your tension is still there.
And it feels really good. Like when you're stretching your high, it feels like, oh, you're supposed to be doing this. You should do this more often, dude. Like you just have a better accounting of what the signals your body's sending you. Because I think when you're sober, you can try to think about all your different areas and tune into the body and all the various points of contact where the elbows meet the forearm and think about all the muscle tissue. But you'd have to like really go through it like step by step and be really conscious of what you're doing. When you smoke pot, it's just there.
I really enjoyed watching you fight with Steven Crowder about this, by the way.
Oh, he's a silly boy when it comes to pot.
He's a silly boy overall. I've had some dealings with him.
The pot thing is interesting, though. He didn't want to even debate it. Like when we were pulling up the information, he thought I was being a bully because we were pulling up things that showed, contrary to what he was saying, about car accidents. I've since looked into it, and the American Automobile Association has some statistics where they think that it's increasing. There's an increased number of people that have marijuana in their system, but when they have the car accidents. But the real problem with that is there might be just as much of an increase in those people smoking marijuana in that area. It might not be related to the accident. Just because it's connected to the accident doesn't mean it caused the accident.
If you're going to make the car accident argument too, like, you got to realize alcohol is causing way more traffic accidents than weed is.
Well, that was what they were talking about. In these places, there's a lot of the places where people are smoking pot, there's a decrease in DUI fatalities. There's a decrease in violent crimes. There's quite a few different statistics to look at, but Colorado seems to be saying there's a decrease in these car accidents and in DUI-related incidents.
Steven Crowder wanted to sue me, too.
Why do you want to sue you?
He wanted to sue me. We were on the same network for a while on YouTube, and it was called Polypop. And the guy that was like my assigned, I forget what the position's called, the fucking facilitator or whatever the fuck, he had the same one as I did, and he told me, that video you made about Steven Crowder and that shit, because he got in a fight with some union guy on footage, and he was like, I was attacked by this union thug, and I
punched him.
I looked at the footage, and I'm like, wait a minute, this guy gets up from the ground, he's facing away from you. It looked like someone pushed him from behind.
Did you see the whole video?
Yeah.
Well, the beginning of it, the guy threw a punch at him.
Well, the guy was on the fucking ground.
At one point.
Yeah, but you don't really see what happens with him.
Well, you see the guy throw a punch at him first. I'm very familiar with the video.
I don't know. I looked at it.
The guy's in his face.
Can we maybe see the video?
The guy's in his face. The guy comes close to him. They get into some sort of a grappling situation where the guy like physically manhandles him.
All right, hold on. This is on Crowder's channel. I want to see there's like an unedited version of this somewhere.
But you could see the full altercation when it does happen.
Let's take a look.
Even on Crowder's channel. Like go scroll ahead a little bit. I want to get to, I'll tell you what, that's the guy. That's the guy who hits him.
Oh, wait.
The guy's telling him to back the fuck up. So he puts his hands up.
Hold on. No, that's the guy
up.
that fights him right there. The guy with the mustache.
Which guy?
The mustache dude. And you see
this guy. Okay.
You see that?
Uh-huh.
Like, there's like a missing piece of footage there. But in the footage I saw, you don't see that guy attack him first. You see that guy get up from being on the ground. On his stomach.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So something happened.
And so what I was thinking is,
he threw the guy to the ground.
Did Steven Crowder push this guy? I don't know, because there's no footage on there. But I surmised, based on what I looked at in the footage, that this guy was maybe pushed and then got up and then started wailing on Crowder.
Interesting.
And I put that out there. And here's the interesting thing: he said he was going to sue me for what I said about it. He then later went to court, and a judge looked at the footage and kind of came to the same conclusion I did and said, I don't think that this went down the way you're saying based on the footage I see. He lost that court case, and then he had to drop any sort of idea of a lawsuit against me because the judge had already ruled that the tape was bullshit, didn't really show what he thought it should. There's also instances where I challenged him to debates back in the day, not recently, but he would never acknowledge me. I mean, one time he did send his like little brother after me.
His brother?
Yeah, like I don't know if it was his younger brother or his older brother. I think it was his little brother. Was like, you're a fucking faggot or whatever. I'm like, why won't your brother debate me? Because we were at the time on the same network.
Like, you're saying he sent him after you physically?
No, just on Twitter.
Oh, okay. You got to specify that.
I'm sorry.
I'm thinking two dudes are looking at each other outside a bar.
He didn't come and try to fucking fuck me up or anything. He just talking shit on Twitter.
So he talked shit on Twitter. You sure that's Steven's brother?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Steven's brother. But Steven himself has never taught. I made several videos about him. Maybe not several, like 3. But he's never confronted me. Polypop tried to get us to do a debate at the time. He wouldn't do it.
That seems weird.
And it's weird because like he's Mr. like I'm gonna go like he just trolled Cenk Uygur the other day. You know,
I thought that was funny. His impression of Cenk Uygur is fucking funny.
It is pretty spot on.
The one that he did where he played Anna and Cenk back and forth.
I didn't see that.
Oh, fucking pull it up. He'll let us use it. Look, I like Steven Crowder. I do. I really do. I think he's a good guy. I just, he's a little bit heavy on the right wing. He gets a little silly.
Yeah.
But he does some funny shit like this. And when he crashed Cenk's thing, like, the saddest thing was how Cenk was responding to it. Like, he didn't have any sense of humor about it.
Well, Cenk obviously takes himself very seriously for some reason.
They didn't mean any AR-27s. Do the research. That's absolutely correct. We'll have it listed at GeoCities.
Yes, I agree with you, Cenk. So f***ing much.
That's absolutely right. When you use the F word, you know it's real talk.
I said
okay? So we have a bunch of people who
Anyway, you could see it online, and at one point he's pouring bacon grease down his mouth. I just thought it was funny.
I think it's pretty funny.
And it's look,
dude, I
you
recently
got to be able to make fun of yourself.
I recently sat down. We did this we went and watched a bunch of Young Turks videos so we could put out this special Drunken Peasants versus the Young Turks video. We shot about 5 hours of us watching Young Turks videos and just tearing them apart. And one of the things I noticed is what Cenk will do, and watch for this if you're ever watching his shit, he'll have his panel say something that's like super crazy left wing. Like someone will say it, like Anna will say it, or one of the Stephen O, or whatever, whoever he's got on, Ben Mankiewicz, whatever. They'll say something that's real far left wing, and then it'll cut to Cenk, and Cenk will have more of like a moderate left wing opinion, and then it'll go back to them, and they'll immediately capitulate to Cenk, like, oh yeah, Cenk, you're what you're saying is way more sensible than what I said a second ago, and I just saw that pattern recurring over and over and over again. So I don't know if that's like by design or if they feel like the need to capitulate to him because they'd be scared of him or something.
Yeah.
Or what?
There's definitely a lot of emotions going on there too. There's a lot of emotion in the way they describe things, and some people, I think, at least initially connected to that, but then they see where it gets problematic if you're dealing with any like really serious issue and you want to debate just the facts, like, and have your ducks in a row.
The wool over my eyes was the Harris debate, of course. Like most people,
exactly.
That was like the first like major chink in the Cenk Uygur armor.
Yeah, I never know how to pronounce his first name, so when you said it that way, I was like,
Cenk.
You kind of.
I think it's pronounced Cenk.
Cenk in the Cenk Uygur.
Cenk in the Cenk.
Yeah,
there we go.
I think he's a good guy. I like talking to him too. I just think people handle certain types of confrontation and disagreements, and they don't handle them the best way they could. And then those things escalate and they compound, and then it becomes who you are, and then you're defending who you are, and then you're always trying to argue with people about who you are and what you've done, and like that's when you're gone.
Yeah.
That's when you're over the top. It's like, we've done this, we've done that, and we've done this, we've done that. Like, hey, you're talking about shit that's happening in the world. That's all you're doing. That's all any of us are doing. That's all anybody's doing. Unless you're out there digging wells in the Congo with Justin Wren, what you're doing is you're talking about shit.
Yeah.
So if you got a bunch of people listening to you talk about shit, it's just talking about shit. At the end of the day, you don't get any extra points because more people are listening or more people are watching. Your point isn't more valid. Your point still has to stand up in the marketplace of ideas.
Yeah.
And yours is just as valid as his, is just as valid as mine. It just, if the delivery system is a bigger delivery system, it doesn't mean that like everybody has to stop and take you into account because you've had more success in this market.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy way of looking at shit.
Sure.
And when him and Alex Jones battle back and forth between who gets the most viewers and who has the most, like, holy shit, this is ridiculous. Like, did you see when Alex went onto the stage at South by Southwest? Is that what it was? South by Southwest?
I think so.
Yeah, last year. It was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was one of the greatest trollings of all time.
But Jen got so mad.
Oh,
He's screaming
furious.
and yelling,
And
"You
then
fucking dumbass!
that little-
we oppose Saudi Arabia!"
That little weasel Jimmy Dore spitting on
That's so unfortunate.
fucking Alex Jones, dude.
You know what's unfortunate? That guy Jimmy Dore does some good stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen some of his stuff too. This is a really good. He's put some really good videos up. He's done some really good work.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
can't.
people aren't perfect.
I don't really care for him, but
But you recognize that some of his stuff's really good, right?
I've never seen the stuff that's good. Maybe it's out there. I haven't seen it.
I've seen him make some good points. Very good points.
When he was covering the whole Milo thing, he played a very deceptive version of the Milo clip, and he credited us basically as a podcast, and
Well, that's
talked
silly.
about us as like we're doing this podcast from a basement somewhere or something.
Meanwhile, isn't it funny that a podcast like yours, which gets hundreds of thousands of downloads, I'm sure, right? Like if it was more than that, he would have to say the name of the podcast, right? Like if he was on the Adam Carolla show, he would say the Adam Carolla show.
Sure.
But because it's yours, even though he knows what it's like not going to give these guys the credit.
And a lot of the media did that to us. There was like transcripts of the Milo episode where it was like, and then unknown host said this. It's like, fuck you.
I'm not in a bunker.
What? You guys can't just look it up? Aren't you supposed to be like journalists? Can't you
Yeah.
figure out what the fuck the podcast was?
And I saw ones that attributed stuff to me, but then had stuff of yours.
Yeah.
Where they didn't even, I didn't know that you guys had him on. I thought that all the shit was coming from my podcast.
Yeah.
Because I got a text message from my friend Chris McGuire informing me of all of it. And so I went and I said, well, this isn't even my podcast. And then I realized, like, oh, he was on your podcast too, and they combined the two different things.
I even saw people say, like, he was on Joe Rogan's Drunken Peasants podcast. It's like, wow, people are supposed to trust you for fucking information? You're supposed to be a fucking credible source? You can't even get this basic shit right?
So
the media is a fucking joke.
Well, the media now is.
It's a total fucking joke.
There's like a few places where you can still trust.
Like where?
I'm hoping you had the answer to that.
Dude, because you know what? People come to me all the time and they're like, TJ, what news media outlet do you trust? I'm like, none of them. I don't trust a single goddamn fucking thing any of these institutions have to say.
Whatever Megyn Kelly has to say, I'm listening.
Oh, Megan.
I'm in.
Megan. You're right about everything, Megan.
That's what I like. Like ice princesses.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like a mean.
Like a mean, huh?
Mean and smart.
Really?
Not really. No.
I'm like,
No, but I'm fascinated by people who must. You know?
yeah, some people,
They're perfect structure, perfect bone structure, steely blue eyes, impeccably dressed, talking about guns and the war and crime and poverty and pot and prison. We'll be right back.
You know the fucking bitch I really hated back in the day was Nancy Grace.
Oh, she's the worst.
She's hideous.
She's still the worst.
She's horrible. And like that moral indignation that she has over everything, like everything is always like, you, oh my God, I cannot believe. You know, I hate that. I hope that constant, I'm indignant about everything in the world and I'm this great moral judge here to fucking tell people what's really what.
Another dead baby in Florida. Oh, she's a monster. Remember when she went after those Duke lacrosse kids?
Yep.
The fake rape case?
Mm-hmm.
And then never apologized.
No. Why would she? She's perfect. In fact, she probably still thinks those kids did it.
Imagine that. Imagine being those kids and going, what in the fuck? We didn't do that. Oh, Nancy Grace, shut up. Nancy Grace, that's not the truth. Those boys are terrible. Oh. She's made her entire career off of like exploiting the worst human beings in their worst case scenarios and then putting it on TV and getting everybody outraged.
Yep.
Like
the
Tot
outrage
Mom,
machine.
Tot Mom. She was the one who was chasing that lady down that killed her kid, Casey Anthony.
Yep.
Remember that?
That was her big bloodhound moment.
Nancy Grace renews her criticism of Tot Mom.
Who the fuck is Tot Mom?
I'm renewing. She's that lady that killed her kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's Casey Anthony.
Casey Anthony.
I've never heard her called Tot Mom before.
Yeah, that's who she calls her. Tot Mom.
I try to avoid experiencing Nancy Grace on any level.
Did you ever see her debate with 2 Chainz?
No.
They debated about pot. 2 Chainz and Nancy Grace were debating about pot on TV. It was the most ridiculous shit ever.
You know,
like 2 Chainz?
I might
That's
have
who you
actually
get?
seen that now that you mention it.
Why? Yeah, just why'd they let 2 Chainz do it?
Because she probably thought he was a soft target that she could just steamroll, dude.
Yeah, if you're going to do that with her, you need to be in the room, too. You can't be on that split screen. They talk over you. You barely hear them. There's a delay. It's confusing. They know what the fuck they're doing. Those split screen things are weird. You have something in your ear, and they're talking to you, and you don't see them. You're staring right at a camera.
Dude, yeah.
When I was on
CNN, like not only that, but like I was in a huge, gigantic room, and the camera was like 30 feet away.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this camera that's like in the distance, like talking to nothing. There's a fucking earpiece in my ear that keeps falling out.
And it's designed that way, man. It's designed to, well, first of all, for convenience for them, for the people that are filming.
Yeah.
But also, like, the best way to get a good reaction out of the guest is put the guest under pressure. Put them under pressure. Put them in some weird situation and have some smooth-talking Tucker Carlson type character.
Oh, dude. Tucker
Carlson. I'm really disappointed he didn't stick with the bow tie. I was hoping.
I am too, but you know what? It seems like his ratings are better, so maybe the bow tie was fucking him up. But like, I remember, like, I love how every fucking answer anyone gives to him on his show, he always does this, like,
yeah, yeah,
always has this like perplexed, like, what?
yeah. He's an interesting guy. He's sort of taken this middleman Republican approach, sort of the middle. You know, like more reasonable, more towards the middle. Well, can I understand your position? Like, let me go over your position one more time, please. Like he's sort of semi-mocking, but clearly on the right.
Oh yeah, and the great thing too is that he's kind of brought that that internet strain of conservatism over to Fox News because, like, you know, Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity, they're not tapped into that shit.
Right. Bill
but
O'Reilly.
Tucker is,
yes,
and it's clear.
Right.
So he's basically appealing to probably a younger conservative demographic, I would imagine, than Hannity and O'Reilly get.
He's appealing to the people that have seen one too many Alex Jones videos, where they've gotten to that one point they're like, I can't do this anymore. And then they go over to Tucker. They're like, I can't.
So what was it?
No more conspiracies.
What was it like having him on here? By the way, Alex Jones.
It was a dream come true.
Like sitting face to face and
It was
actually
awesome.
listen to him talk.
Well, I've been friends with him for a long time.
Right.
I've known that guy since 1999, I think. So
Okay.
it was fun. It was fun for me, but it was also something like, for the longest time, people thought I was avoiding having him on for some reason. And he kept saying, well, I try to get a hold of Joe Rogan every time I'm in town, but he blows me off. He was always texting the wrong number. He's always like, he'd get a hold of me that day. And I'm like, dude, I already have a podcast scheduled. I can't do it today. Well, I'll be back soon. And when I'm back, we'll figure it out. And then he would go on a show. Joe Rogan's been avoiding me. I've been trying to get in there to give out this information. It's very important. Maybe he's scared. Maybe he's been threatened. The government's threatened him. He won't open up about Bigfoot. I believe Joe Rogan did experience Bigfoot. He was there in the woods. No, Alex doesn't really believe in Bigfoot, I guess.
Who knows what he?
got
I don't
important
know
fish
what
to
he
fry.
believes. I know he seems to believe in demons these days.
Oh yeah, well they are demons.
Demons.
They're all demons from hell. All of them. They're damned. I'm sorry.
And if
have you
you're
seen
a-
that thing
if-
where he does he apologizes?
Yeah, the apology,
compilation.
the apology compilation. Excuse me.
It's amazing. I will stomp your head in. Excuse me, I gotta.
This is a Christian family show. It's like, what?
I'm a Christian, and I apologize. He's just such a fucking awesome guy. To me, he's awesome. He's like a boundless source of entertainment. And if you knew him, man, like if you, me, and him went out, we went to a bar, we had a couple of drinks, we would have a great fucking time. I'm telling you, he's
really?
a nice guy. He's a real nice guy. And he would start telling you, well, the barium, they've been putting barium in the water, and you're like, what? You want another beer? Like, it's. I'm telling you, he's a great guy. But I understand that people are upset that he has the president's ear, and maybe the president's like me. Maybe the president just thinks he's awesome. Wants to listen to crazy stories.
Trump's just like, yeah, bury him in the water. Sounds great.
Interdimensional child molesters are coming in through the cigarette smoke. Cigarettes with the 599 chemicals are designed to let the gates of hell come loose, and the interdimensional child molesters come in. He just will go on and on and on.
I love
and on.
that. I love the interdimensional child molester thing because it's like they have interdimensional travel capabilities, and they're like immediate thing. Like, what do we use this for? I know.
Let's bang kids.
We'll rape kids in other dimensions. You know, like what?
Well, they're always
Is that really the best application of that fucking technology?
They're always like the archetypes of like when you get into the really hardcore conspiracy theorists. The archetypes are always like very satanic. The archetypes are always like eugenics, like they want to kill off a massive amount of the population, engineering a master race. Like there's like keeping all the medicine and the resources for the elites, killing off everyone else. Preparing to get off this planet because they know it's doomed because Nibiru's coming. It's all this like apocalyptic shit. It's really fascinating because it like so much of it revolves around these like.
And then they sell supplements and survival kits.
Well, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Nobody sells them better than Jim Baker. He sells them as furniture. Have you seen that video?
He sells them as toilets, dude. Have you seen him sell it? Like, you know, after the bonus bucket is empty, you can use it as a toilet.
Oh, so
What?
like when you're out there in the woods, yeah.
No, well,
you know what
there's
shit
not going to be
smells like when you just-
modern plumbing
Yeah.
after the apocalypse.
People don't even know how bad shit smells because most of the time you don't really smell it. You smell it watered down, plop logs. When you take a shit in the woods, that's when you really go, oh, Jesus Christ. And at least then you're outside with all that air and a nice stiff breeze. But if you take a shit in a room, in a bucket, it's going to smell so horrible. You will start gagging and throwing up. You'll be so disgusted.
Not to mention, you'd have to actually eat their supposedly fucking 5 years worth of disgusting macaroni and cheese or mashed potatoes to actually get the bucket empty enough to shit in it.
That's true.
So, I mean, like...
Look at that. That's Jim Baker's bowl.
And look,
they're all
are
eating
any
it.
of these fucking old fucks going to live long enough to even...
They are.
Who cares if they survive the apocalypse? They're fucking probably not even going to survive this demo, for fuck's sake.
What you don't know is we are all battening down the hatches and waiting for Jesus' return.
Okay, the slop that was in the bucket and the slop they're putting in their mouths is not the same.
Oh, you think theirs is different?
It does not look the same.
Theirs is like a rice pudding, maybe? It looks like a fine risotto.
It's a risotto, yeah.
Look at those poor people in the audience. Forget about being so fucking stupid that you watch it on TV because it's just on. But imagine being so fucking stupid, like you said. We're gonna go to see the sermon today and take the bus into the town to go and sit in the audience and listen to Pastor Jim.
I think they offer them free food. I think they tell them, like, yeah, you get a free meal if you come in here.
That's all they need? A free meal?
They're like, ooh, sweet, free food.
Well, they're probably excited to be on television as well. A lot
That's
of them
true.
have books. They have books open. Back that up. Look. But don't they have like books in their hands?
Probably those same books you see on the stage. Probably just passing them out. Get them to try to fucking buy this bonus bucket shit.
Hey, look. They've got like notes. People are taking notes.
This is important stuff.
What's important? Well, okay, if I'll eat one plate of that risotto a day, I could be underground for 50 years. I got willpower. I got a Hawaiian shirt on. Look at these fucking people. They're taking notes. Like, this is, like, really important stuff that Jim Baker's talking about. I just love that this guy keeps on keeping on.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
He's like the Energizer Bunny, dude.
Yeah, no one's talking to Jessica Hahn these days, okay? Nobody even cares about her anymore. Look at him. He looks smooth as fuck. He's got that sleek white hair. He's got a cute little beard. Look at him. He's thin. Looks
He's
healthy.
passionate.
Yeah.
He's got the drive. He's got the energy.
He's got this hot little piece of ass behind him in the green shirt. Yeah, look at her.
It's fun.
Trashy.
If you watch this shit, sometimes you'll see them like openly argue on the show, but like it'll be like very like restrained. Like I remember one time he was like talking about marijuana or something. Ooh. And he's like, you used to smoke marijuana in your college days, didn't you? And she's like, oh, yeah. And then, you know.
Just picture her smoking pot and taking dick like a champ.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, She does have that vibe, doesn't she?
For sure.
Strong.
For sure.
Trophy wife vibe going on.
Yeah, he's
especially for
partying.
someone that guy's age.
Well, we found out from the Jessica Hahn days that dude was a partier. He liked to party. That's his deal. He likes to talk about the Lord, and he maybe even believes it. But after that shit's done, woo, let's party. He's down to fuck.
Yeah, that's what Christianity's all about. Forgiveness, y'all.
Yeah, listen, man.
Just get forgiven the next day.
It's a beautiful thing. He's got a good market. He's got it locked in. Who's that Joel Osteen guy? Is that his name?
Yeah, Joel Osteen.
That guy, he does arenas, man.
Oh,
that guy
huge.
does the same place where we do the UFC. He was coming the next day or the next week. I was like, that's crazy. He fills the fucking arena.
It's that like prosperity
Look
doctrine
at all those
shit.
people. Look at
him.
all those people. Maybe I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah, I've thought about it before. I'm like, man,
How much do I have to know about Jesus to talk about him on stage?
not a whole lot. I was thinking like, oh, I could fucking spin this yarn about like I used to be this YouTube atheist.
Yeah, dude, you should totally do that.
And
You
now
should
I'm
troll him.
redeemed, and I
you
found
cut your hair?
Jesus, and yeah, I'll just
would cut your hair?
I'll do it all nice and conservative and shit, and I'll be like, yeah, I found Jesus, turned my life around. I was depressed.
Well, stop right there. Stop right there. No one's going to believe you change your fucking accent to a mocking Southern accent.
Well, obviously.
You can't do that. Let's just run through how we would have you do it.
Okay.
If we're going to reinvent you, like let's just say the country rather moves so far into conservatism that it's dangerous being an atheist. It's
Yeah.
dangerous being a liberal, and you've got a certain amount of financial requirements now. You got a mortgage, maybe you got a car payment. You're like, well, fuck, man, I need to get this money to
Yeah.
keep coming in. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to reinvent myself, and it'll be a performance art piece that I do for a few years, where I become a conservative.
Become a conservative Christian.
Yeah.
Give
What-
my life over to Jesus.
What would be the event that we would need to talk about? Like, we would have to describe an event that motivated you to make the big change.
Oh shit! It had to be something that I could fake easily,
Right,
but
right,
seems
right.
credible and believable. Like,
Maybe a little baby heart attack.
oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're a little overweight.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I could just be like, I had my heart attack,
Yeah.
and I could even maybe I could spin some kind of like near death yarn or
Yeah,
some shit.
Yeah. Like you blacked out. Like something happened. You had like a little minor heart attack, and your legs stopped working. You blacked out.
And I was in a tunnel, and I saw the light.
Yeah.
And I felt like a presence and an energy, a love that I'd never experienced before.
What was your initial reaction to this love and this experience?
I think
Jesus is Lord?
Should we go the hell route? Should we go like I saw I was cast out of this place and I went to hell, or is that too over the top?
Here's my take on things.
Yeah.
This is what I believe. I believe you're allowed to talk about God all day long, but as soon as you talk about the devil, only a select group of people are going to hear you.
That's true.
If you talk about your
Because
experiences
more
with
people
God-
believe in God than believe in the
Oh,
devil.
fuck yeah. Not only that, it's culturally acceptable to describe a belief in a higher power. If you don't even say God, you get away with it like for 90% of the people.
Oh yeah, that's true.
All you have to do is say, I'm spiritual, I'm non-denominational, but I'm spiritual, and ultimately I believe in a higher power. I just think it's very possible that something I leave the option
You ever
open.
heard like the 7 planets fucking thing? Like
What's that?
they say it's like a reincarnation trope where you're like you go through like 7 stages of life where like the first I think humans are like second or third on the list, but eventually like in your 7th life you become like a being of well, I mean, it's not necessarily your 7th because you're like repeatedly attempting.
So you become like an enlightened being.
Yeah, like if you're a shitty human being, you might get sent back, or you might just be a human being again. But eventually, you get reincarnated as like an immortal being of pure enlightenment and just one with the cosmos and all that shit.
Like a Dalai Lama.
Yeah, you could do like a you peddle that new age shit, but
Right.
because they like set it on like 7 different planets too. Like you go from one planet to the next as you progress up the ladder of
Who's
fucking
they?
enlightenment.
Where is this?
All of us.
But what is this? What religion is this one?
I don't know. It's just some crazy shit I heard one time. But I could roll with that. 7 planets.
Yeah, you have 7 times to reinvent yourself, and like I have my shit together now. I'm 500 years old, but I'm totally together. Finally, I can say I'm whole. Nope.
Then you ascend.
Then you ascend.
You ascend to enlightenment, to the 7th planet where you live out the rest of your existence
So-
in pure love and joy.
If we just had you talking on CNN again, and they would go, well, what inspired you to make this decision after all your years of atheism YouTube videos to become a Christian? And now that you are a Christian, are you going to take those videos down?
No, I'm going to leave them up so people can see that I really was this atheist. I really did give credence to these atheist beliefs. But now I've rejected that all. And in fact, I'm going to go through all my old videos and rebut them and show where I was wrong and explain why I was wrong. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, genius. I love it. And you can also say, what's really ironic is I did Joe Rogan's podcast and we joked around about this happening and then it did happen. And it's so crazy.
No, you just fucked this whole plan because it's all public.
No, it's not, because your belief in the Lord is so powerful that despite the fact you talked about faking it, you're going to talk about it in the exact same way because it actually did happen. It's almost like God was like, oh, you think you're so smart, TJ? Well, I'll show you. I'll show you, and I'll have the exact same scenario play itself out, and I will show myself to you, and I will touch your heart.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Lord did. He touched my heart, TJ.
Yeah, just a scant few years later, he touched my heart.
How much do you think Joel Osteen clears in one day?
Well, you could look up his net worth or something.
That's probably scary.
What's that? It's got to be huge.
Yeah, I want to know.
Supposed what it's worth? $56 million net worth. He lives in a $10 million house.
Nice. It's a good little scam he's got going. It's probably more.
Hashtag ballin'. Hashtag ballin' for Jesus. That's incredible. Now, how does one justify that? We had this guy on, Will McCaskill, who runs this organization called Effective Altruism. He donates all of his income above $35,000. So he gets to $35,000, he keeps that. Everything else he donates.
Yeah.
That's like a real holy man. In a lot of ways. I mean, he's just living in a comfortable way.
Joel Osteen, $56 million net worth, $10 million house.
He comes home in his gold underwear.
Well, look, he's kind of smart because he's built prosperity into his doctrine. Because what he peddles is like, if you're good and God loves you, God wants you to be successful and prosperous.
Right.
Now, there's nothing in Christian doctrine to actually back that up. Like, Christians are persecuted, and God does not give them an easy life. They get crucified upside down, and they get persecuted by authorities and all sorts of stuff. But he's figured out some way to spin it like, if you love God and God loves you, then God wants you to be successful. So basically, all his money and his houses and his prosperity, that's God gave that to me. And that's part of my faith.
Yeah, but you asked for it, bitch. You asked for money. The people paid. They paid to hear the word of God, hearing it through you.
God didn't get involved at any point.
What happens if somebody really charismatic, who's really smart, decides to play that as a scam?
I mean, it's happened a bunch of times throughout history. I mean,
but like someone who's like a really good actor, like a Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington becomes a religious icon.
Dude, could you imagine if Denzel Washington, out of nowhere, had some religious epiphany or faked it, and then decided to go on like television and had like a very powerful message for people, and then started making YouTube videos, and then started preaching in arenas? People would, oh my God, you would leave there, your life would be changed. Denzel Washington, you think of Denzel Washington from like Training Day? Like the kind of fucking power that guy can deliver. If he could deliver a sermon like that, Joel Osteen would just jump off a building. He would watch that and go, what the fuck business am I in
Joel
now?
Osteen would be like his opening act, if anything, you know?
He would be a
like the shitty opening band that no one cares about.
Yeah, if you got like a real actor, like a real powerful actor to go up there and do it. There's like a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, the problem with Leo is he's too handsome and he gets too much pussy. You're not going to take him seriously. You're just not. He's just got too much money. He's always balling all over the world. He's on yachts with models. Too much money. I'm sorry. But if we could get past that, if somehow or another we could get past that, like if that guy settled down, he had a wife and he had a kid, and then he had some religious epiphany, and then he really got close to the Lord, and he was really like gathering up the scripture, and then he started fucking preaching.
You really want this to happen.
I do.
I can sense it in you, like, oh yeah,
well,
soon.
You know the expression, politics is for people that suck at showbiz.
Yeah.
It's for ugly people that suck at showbiz. And that's essentially what religion is. I mean, it's like it's another form of show business. So, I mean, what you're doing is, by doing it that way, the only way you do it that way is you have to put on a performance. If you're going to stand in front of all those people and talk about what the Lord does to me, like whether you have passion for it or not, that is an orchestrated performance. It's an art form. You're riling people's sensibilities up and stimulating their minds. It's fucking weird. It's a fucking weird way to worship. You know, it's very weird. You pay a bunch of money to get in an arena, and some con man screams and yells about the Lord and pretends that he could read people's minds and heal the sick. Those motherfuckers that touch people.
Yeah. Wiggle. You're deaf? I'll wiggle my finger in your ear, and now you can hear. It's a miracle.
I can hear!
And then they're rushed off real quick, you know, like, bye, deaf person. Or formerly deaf person.
What's really creepy when I forget which guy got busted with the earpiece. Remember the preacher? They exposed him on one of those shows.
It was James Randi that fucking set up that operation where you could hear his wife talking to him and telling him about people and
yeah, all these healer guys, those Benny Hinn type dudes.
And that didn't destroy his career either. He kept going.
Why? Those people aren't reading. Just keep going.
Peter Popoff was the guy's name.
Peter Popoff.
Peter Popoff.
I didn't know who that guy was. There's so many of them, though. I guess that's the way they make a living.
Yeah, it's a nice little racket they got going.
Look, we were talking about doing it for you. I think you could do it, though. You could fucking nail it.
You could do it. Any of us could do it.
You could really do it, though.
I could really do it?
Yeah.
Because I got the whole atheist angle. I can play like, I used to be this way, but now I've seen the light.
The former amazing atheist, now an amazing Christian. Ding! I can see the title now.
Yeah, I have to get some like teeth whitener and
dude, you could
cut my hair a little bit.
Just cut your hair short. You'll be fine.
Cut the hair a little shorter.
Yeah. Find yourself a nice Christian gal.
Dress up and nice.
That's what it would be. Hot Christian pussy. That's what took you over to the top.
Oh yeah,
Daisy Dukes.
I can even tell them that. Like, look, I just noticed that the Christian pussy is just way higher caliber. So
it's way better. They're freaks. They're all suppressed, and when you finally get them alone, they think Jesus isn't looking.
Yeah,
they get crazy.
And that's why I decided to convert.
Can you imagine if like it took a few years and then you admit it? Look, I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I converted because Christian pussy is the best pussy. It's like it's not even close. You know it. Come on, why are we lying?
You gotta believe in Jesus when you just know. I mean, you know, you fucking atheist pussy or a pagan pussy or whatever, and you're like, all right, I guess this is okay. But you hit that Christian pussy and you just feel the might of God touching your cock. It's almost like Jesus himself is giving you a hand job.
Can you
imagine
beautiful. If there was a belief system that changed the way your pussy felt? Like if you knew that the girl didn't believe in Jesus when you had sex, like, oh, it was all wishy-washy down there, no structure. like we were talking about this the other day about wild pigs, that when wild pigs get loose, like you take a domestic pig, and when they get loose, their body morphs, their snout grows, their hair gets thicker, their tusks grow longer. Imagine if, like, when a woman really believed in Jesus, if she really believed in God, her pussy would just tighten down like a fist, and you would realize it when you were fucking her. Like, wow, the Lord is inside of her. This is a girl I should come inside of because I should make babies with her because the Lord is in her.
The
she really
Lord
believes
is within.
in the Lord. Yeah, you could
the
tell.
Lord resides within this cunt.
Maybe you could tell by having sex with them. Imagine that. And the guys would cry. I've never been with a girl who believed in the Lord. Every girl I believed believed in the Lord. I was having sex with her. It was like sticking my dick in a bucket of Jell-O. There was nothing. There's no hope. There's no hope. There's no future. And there's this guy holding his wife's hand like a death grip. She's got this Christian smile in her eyes, and you know her pussy's a vice grip.
Yeah,
just a ball milking vice grip. Industrial suction power. Just clamp down. Imagine.
I think there would be a lot more Christians.
Yes.
You know, that would
100%.
be something. That would be something that would definitely get people on the side of Christianity.
That's one of the weirder things about Islam, is like the more radical sects of it, and the deeper that people get into it when they want to cover up the entire woman, like cover everything.
Can't even see her.
Can't even see her when she goes out. Cover it up.
And the idea is, like, if you don't cover up, then, you know, men are just going to be like totally rape crazy, like, oh my God,
they must really like to fuck.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that what it is?
They you know, like I don't know how true statistically it is, but you know, they say that like the rape is a big problem when they go to these Western countries, these refugees and shit.
Oh, they're probably not used to seeing all these little short
like,
shorts.
oh my God, it's like a fucking buffet of pussy around here.
Don't you think that any country that has been around for as long, like any part of the world really, where civilization has existed in is for a long, long, long time, it's very difficult to get those people off their old ways, you know? And when you're dealing with a place like the Middle East, like Iraq is the oldest. They think that like Sumer, which is where Iraq is, as far as we know, that's the oldest civilization we're currently totally aware of, right? 6,000 years ago, there was people living in there, and they had mathematics, they had agriculture. It was a really advanced civilization for the time. And the people that are there today, in a lot of ways, I mean, it's people have come in and people have left, but a lot of the fucking energy and the ideas of that culture are still in some way connected to this 6,000-year-old culture. We're still kind of fucked in this country because we're connected to the Puritans. We're connected to the Pilgrims that landed. I mean, all these people that came over here seeking religious freedom, and they were super religious and super puritanical in their belief systems.
Well, remember, it wasn't just the Puritans that were sent here, too. It was kind of like the Puritans were sent. Well, the Puritans came here to escape religious persecution, and then a lot of the dregs of their society were sent here, like, get the fuck out of here, go over there.
Yep.
Go colonize the new world, form a new life for yourself there.
That's my family.
Well, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, but if you really look at it, that's like the flip side. I mean, you can kind of even look at America today and still see like, oh, here's where the Puritan element comes in, and here's where the degenerate scumfuck element comes in, and then you got America.
Right. Yeah. Look, anytime you start a fresh country, it's a goddamn gamble, and a bunch of people are going to come over here, and you're not going to get the best stuff. But look at Australia. Australia was started as a prison colony. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite places to visit. The people are fantastic.
Never been there.
Oh, man, you'd love it. Fucking Melbourne is amazing. It's amazing. One of the best cities I've ever been to. The people are so cool. It's like a cool San Francisco type vibe with a weird accent. Not weird to them, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Fucking nicest people in the world. There's so few of them. They have it so much better over there because there's as many as there is in the LA area in their entire fucking country.
Yeah. What'd I do?
That's a lot of fucking people, man.
Oh, you just like, we're like...
Because I'm thinking about that.
It's like
how
holy
ridiculously
shit.
overpopulated we are.
Oh, yeah. The second I land in LA, like...
You go, why?
There's like a weird vibe instantly, like... I just feel like way more guarded here and stuff, because there's like a sense of like a faint whiff of like violence that's always in the air here. Like you can just feel like the tensions that exist.
Right.
And I notice people are like, a lot of people around here are super apologetic all the time for like the slightest thing. And I think it's just because they all feel it like there's like kind of a powder keg here that could just explode at any time.
Or maybe they're just polite, TJ.
No, they're not.
Like, what are people who are super apologetic about?
Well, look, like first thing that happened to me when I walked out of the airport was this guy. He's doing his suitcase and he hits my foot with it, and he says he's sorry. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," but he keeps pulling it, like, you know. So he's not really changing what he's doing. He's just giving me an apology for it, so I won't get mad about it. Basically.
Oh, I see. So he didn't stop what he's doing and readjust and try to not hit your foot.
Yeah, I mean, I just got out of the way at that point, but you know, it's like. People around here, they try to like
diffuse,
put a sorry over things to diffuse any possible like. Well, if I say sorry, then you know people won't be as pissed, and everyone's kind of stepping on each other's toes here because it's so crowded. There's so many fucking people. There's so many different cultures trying to coexist, you know, in one place. Like even you know when I'm from Seattle and shit. Like the area I live in has got like a lot of Asians there and stuff, but like. You don't really feel that sense of like the clash going on,
right? Or
like there's tensions between these different groups of people because the attitude that they have, like in the Northwest, at least the parts of it I live in, are just kind of like people just kind of really don't give a shit about each other, and there's sort of like an air of like detached, like yeah, you know, I'll be somewhat friendly and shit, but we're not all gonna we're not gonna exchange all these niceties and shit, and it's very. Like brusque attitude, and people are sort of detached. Are you speaking
for the entire area?
Yes.
You're their spokesperson?
I am their spokesperson.
I found them in Seattle to be very friendly.
Well, I don't live exactly in Seattle.
So maybe you're in the area where people go to escape the friendliness of Seattle.
Maybe so. Maybe I am. Well, I mean, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of Asians there. They tend to be brusque, I feel like.
Racism. Here it comes.
Oh, yeah. Especially against Eskimos. I don't fucking put up with that Inuit shit.
Yeah, I like the Pacific Northwest. I think it's there's a unique connection with nature when you get rained on all the time.
Yeah.
And everything's green as fuck.
Oh yeah.
I think you guys have a better connection with nature. Like I have some friends that live in Ballard, and we went to there's a park over there, you know, and they have kids that are my kids' age. We all went to the park and we were hanging out there, and we were like, God damn, everything is so green. I was like, you guys are not just used to this. Like, this is like normal for you, right?
Yeah.
And it was a rare day where it was like super sunny and warm, and I was like, okay, if this was like this all the time, do you know this place would be so fucking crowded? Like your relationship that you have with nature is what keeps people away, but it also enhances, in my opinion, the way the people that live there look at things. I think they're more grounded.
Yeah, like I'm not really one who like focuses a lot on like the physical beauty of an area, but like I love just driving through, like over a bridge or something, in the Seattle area, and just seeing all the fucking hills and all the trees and all the water, and everything just looks really like serene and picturesque and beautiful, even though, you know, there's a shit ton of people there.
Yeah.
Like there's a giant pop, but like in LA, it's like there's the sun and everything, but it just looks like a fucking, when you fly in LA, there's just like a big grid of fucking lights and shit. There's not much of nature left for you to be like, ah.
Well, this is a flat patch of desert too that they slapped all these stupid buildings up on. If it wasn't for this, it'd be like chaparral and fucking tumbleweeds and dirt. But what Seattle also has is you guys have the ocean and the mountains all just jammed up on top of you too.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can get to Mount Rainier from Seattle in, what is it, like 70 minutes? Something like that.
I think it might be a little longer, but
maybe
it's not
an
very
hour and a
long.
half, 2 hours at the most, because we were up there Bigfoot squatching. We were squatching, me and Duncan Trussell, and we drove down from there, from Mount Rainier, to a hotel in the mainland, in the regular area. So it was close enough that like within 2 hours or whatever it was, we could be in the middle of this incredible rainforest, and then go right back down. And then you're looking at the ocean right there too. It's just so fucking vibrant.
I mean, look, it's like where I live. I feel like I'm in the middle of the fucking woods, but I can drive 5 minutes and be in a downtown area.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
You can't really get that in LA.
No, and you have a good amount of people up there too. Like, what is Seattle's population? Like 5 million or something?
Of the entire metropolitan area?
I think it's something like that.
I wouldn't know offhand, but
find out what it is, young Jamie. I'm gonna guess it's like 5 million, which I think you should put a cap on. Don't let anybody move until people die.
Dude, like even when I moved there,
less than 5 million? How many?
City says it's only 650,000.
Yeah, but you got to look at the Seattle metropolitan area though.
That's a good number though, 650,000. That's beautiful.
But even when I moved there, like when I told people
2.7 million?
2.7 million.
3.7.
3.7. That ain't shit. That's beautiful.
Yeah, you know, but like even when I moved there, like people are already kind of like, I could sense like people being like, more people?
Yeah, people always do that though, man.
Yeah, they're like, no, we're good. It's just like you said, you know, like try to stop anyone new from coming.
Yeah, greedy fucks.
It's like, fuck you.
You got a great spot. If you wanted to go more hippie though, would you go Portland?
No.
No?
I don't know. I've never really been to Portland.
Sweet spot.
I'm actually planning on going to Portland to see your concert you're doing there.
Are you doing it?
Yeah, on the 20th
I'll
of
hook you
February
up,
or
man.
something.
Don't buy tickets.
20th of April?
You didn't buy tickets, did you?
I don't know.
I'll hook it up.
Yeah. I got a lot of people coming.
Okay, how many people?
6 or 7.
I can make that happen.
All right, cool.
But that spot is Portland to me is like there's like a handful of places that I would live outside of LA. Like
Break
Seattle,
it down.
Seattle for sure, Portland for sure, Denver, Austin, Texas, and then it would get weird.
Then we get weird after that.
Everything else would get like, man, maybe I could do it. But outside of Denver or Boulder, when I say Denver, I really mean Colorado. Like I could live in Aspen too. I love Colorado.
When I was trying to escape Ohio, like we all sat down. We were trying to all come to a consensus about where to move to, and like a lot of those places were considered. Like we were tossing around Austin, we were tossing around LA, we were tossing around Portland, and we were tossing around Seattle. So it's kind of pretty similar.
Yeah,
the places where we would live.
Those are the only places.
Because I was not happy living in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of great people in Columbus.
Sure.
But that winter could suck my dick.
Yeah, we were done with it.
Fuck you.
Giant mountains of fucking snow just piling on us. I mean,
Duncan Trussell, I'm texting him every day. Fuck New York City because another blizzard just hit, And I'm like, fuck you and fuck New York because Duncan just moved there. I'm like, why'd you leave me, bitch? You left me and went to a stupid spot that snows in the middle of goddamn March. It's deep. We're deep into March, right? What is it, like the 16th or something? 15th? Fuck out of here. Can't be snowing. That's too late.
it's no more snow.
No,
None.
stop it.
It's not allowed to snow anymore. Fuck this.
You get jammed in there for a couple of days. But even that, like, I think New York is a weird combination of weather and extreme population. I think when you get that weather, there's good things. Like what Seattle has is like a good amount of weather. Like it gets rain, but it only snows like a couple of days a year, if that. Like it only gets below 32.
We had actually a pretty weirdly heavy snowstorm this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
But that was very unusual for the area.
Yeah,
but like
that's
during the
rare.
winter, it's more like just constant, cold, dreary, rainy. But I'm okay with that. Like I walk out in the sun in LA here, and I'm like, fuck this shit. Like I'm. Look how white I am. Look at this. I mean, I don't want that.
Well,
I love the overcast skies. I love the rain.
Do you love reasons to be depressed?
I mean, I don't need a reason to be depressed. I'll be depressed no matter where the fuck I am. My surroundings might as well at least reflect it.
You get used to the weather out here. You get used to the sun. But I'll tell you, one time I
used to live in Palmdale.
Oh, did you?
So I kind of understand the climate a little bit.
That place is a bit methy.
Yeah.
Palmdale gets a bit methy. It gets
Yep.
a bit methy and In-N-Outy. There's a lot of In-N-Outs out there. It seems like the main food source might be In-N-Out, and then quite methy.
Yeah. I just remember, I remember living out there and just seeing like it's just like we want to live near LA, but
Yeah,
we don't really want to pay LA prices, so
exactly.
Palmdale.
And they just have to commute every day for an hour, which if you see it in the morning, I drove up there once real early in the morning. I was driving up towards Bakersfield, and it was like, boy, I want to say like before dawn, so it was about 5:30 in the morning, and the amount of people coming towards LA from way past Bakersfield was fucking stunning. Like stunning. Like I really had no idea. And it's people that can't afford housing in LA, and so they commute, and they have to get up really early in the morning to do it, because at 5:30 in the fucking morning, it's bumper to bumper traffic.
Yeah.
On the 5. It's nuts, man. Like you ain't never seen anything like it. When you just go, oh my God, like this is something that I didn't even realize was an issue. All those people that can't afford to live in LA and they drive down. And it's a lot of fucking people that live out there and drive down here for work. A lot.
They should just build it. They should put in some high-speed rail and just fucking...
Well, they're talking about doing more affordable housing along the way, like
Yeah.
for people to just establish these artificial communities. But there's a lot of resistance to that. The people that live in that area don't want those areas developed. Who the fuck knows? Now we're developers. Now we're talking.
We're talking
Jesus,
developing. We talked about Jesus. We talked about pussy. We
Waffles.
talked about waffles.
Is there anything we should
Talk
take
about
back?
land development.
Is there anything we should take back? What we said today? I don't feel bad about any of it.
I feel pretty good.
I feel pretty
I
good.
feel pretty good about it. I'm not. I don't feel like there's anything that was said that needs to be like, oh, we better revoke that before people take it the wrong way or some
People
shit.
definitely are going to.
Fuck them.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Nope.
But it is what it is. If people want to see your YouTube videos, your channel is Still the Amazing Atheist.
That's right. Or they can check out my podcast, Drunken Peasants.
And that is the podcast, no matter what Bill Maher says, your podcast is essentially the podcast that sunk Milo.
That is
it
correct.
It wasn't mine.
I mean, well, Milo sunk Milo more than anyone else did.
But thanks, dude. Let's do this more often.
All right, cool.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everybody. See ya. That was fun, man.